You start streaming. All right, I pushed the button. Let's see what happens. It says, it started streaming. It says we're started streaming.
It sounds made up.
All right, I think. Oh, it's showing up in the dashboard. Oh, actually, why do we got a black screen in the dashboard?
Fake news.
Is it gonna eventually show us? Oh, there we are. I see us. Yes.
I don't see us.
Yes.
What? Cool.
Wait, add automator. What the fuck is that? Why is there an add automator? What the shit? I've never seen that before.
That sounds cool. Automate those ads.
I'll just leave it on, I guess. Let's see here.
We can get.
God, I do. I'll show you offline the revenue from YouTube. I basically take everything from YouTube and just give it to you because it's so broken right now. Like I got to get the channel back. But I'm working on it. We're getting progress. Hey, by the way, huge shout out to Death Chewer. You know who you are. Death Chewer, one of my Twitch stream viewers. He actually tipped me $10, even though I didn't even stream yesterday. Just random in the activity feed shows up $10. You rock, Jerry. Wasn't even streaming
live, like super behind the scenes. That's crazy.
Yeah. Dude, not even streaming. The guy's just like, here, like have $10. Here, he's like, you know what? Yeah, you can't stream. I'm gonna still help you out. Nice. I did do some massive Patreon posts. I did 2 massive Patreon posts the other day because I've been kind of neglecting my Patreon audience for a couple of weeks because of after I got back from LTX, I was just like, we got so sick, dude. All of us did.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
I think we got COVID.
That does suck.
I'm fairly certain we got COVID because my son only had it for like 3 days where he was running a fever and he had the sniffles and he was complaining about his throat. And he usually doesn't complain even when he's sick. So he was pretty uncomfortable. And then my wife got it. I'm super fatigued. I actually ended up getting an earache and a sinus ache on the drive home from LTX. So I think I was the first one to get it. Then my wife got it. I was fatigued for like 2 weeks where I couldn't even stay awake. I was like narcoleptic, just falling asleep and shit, right? And oh no, I said shit. Now we're demonetized. No, I'm just kidding.
No, it's it's after. It's fine.
Oh yeah, that's right. So. So anyway, she got really sick. My wife's usually the one that gets the least sick out of everybody. She got super sick, man. She was like running a fever. Her ears were all fucked up. She's coughing and hacking up shit. Her lungs were full of crap. Like she was not good. And she's just now getting over it after 2 weeks. Like she had it was a really bad week and then a week of her just trying to purge out all the crap out of her lungs. And then I was like, oh, I just got off without fatigue. And then I got sick on the second week again where it hit me, but not as bad as them. I got it like really weak, but the fatigue was like killing me. Like, dude, I could not keep my eyes open. I was nodding off. I'd go to live stream. Like I came up here to live stream one day and I was sitting here and I almost hit go live and I just doubled over my desk and woke up 3 hours later. I was sitting here at my desk for 3 hours like this. And I just woke up and I was like, it's dark outside. I was I literally came upstairs and just slept for 3 hours sitting upright in my chair, just leaned against the microphone like this. Never fell over, nothing. I was like, wow, dude. And I've been having bouts of memory loss. Like last week, the reason why we didn't have tech talk is you're like, hey, Jerry, where are you? Jerry, where are you? And I'm like, sleeping. I wake up, it's like 11 o'clock. I checked my phone. The alarm went off.
Yeah.
I heard that. You heard it. You did?
Yeah.
Now the question is, why didn't that fire? Oh shit! I got to do it manually. Hold on.
Overlays.
I feel bad. I think I just robbed somebody.
There was no overlay, just the chat box. But
I'll fix that too. But I forgot to open up DMXIS. My bad. DMXIS is what sends all the commands to all the lights and stuff. See how the lights are working now. Sure. So I got to give that person a proper explosion here. Ready? We'll do this the right way. Okay. Here we go. Get a little bobbing. There you go. A little bit of light action, and then we'll give him the squirt in the face. Here we go. Ready? Down. Bow.
Needs to link me a reasonably priced like button thing that I can so I can push a button and make funny noise. Not like actually, I don't want something that's dedicated like only soundboard, but like one of them little you can buy like a custom 10 key kind of thing or something like that where I can program. Like I push a button and it does a thing because I'd like to play with it in another way.
Do you have an old phone? Do you have just an old phone laying around?
Oh. Yes, I have like 2 or 3. Actually, you know what? This is oh no,
the OnePlus. You still have my OnePlus, don't you?
This is a Nexus 5, but I do still have the OnePlus One you sold me.
So bust out the OnePlus And there's an Android app. It's free. There's a free. You can use Stream Deck makes one, and they give you like 10 buttons for free or whatever. But there's an absolutely free one on Android that you can get that's open source that lets you put as many buttons and sliders and knobs as you want on the screen, and you can link it to all the events on the computer. And you just run a little client on the computer. You run the app on the phone. They connect over your local network, and it's just like a Stream Deck. Like you're real time. You touch the buttons, everything happens. It's really cool.
I mean, the actual Stream Deck is too expensive. But Nico Puhar would like us to answer the question. Did you see Elon Musk tweeted on X that he wanted to remove the block feature, but people added context and mentioned that if he did, he can't have the app in the Play Store and App Store? Yes.
Yep, I did see that. Now there's some people that are to be fair, there are some people that are contesting that the actual requirement, and again, I haven't really looked into this as deep, but I figured it's worth mentioning that why didn't that fire again? So,
what are czars? That sounds cool.
It turned off the lights. It flashed the lights. So
it just Rand. Thank you. That's cool. Aubrey Gravenstein, maybe
Gravenstein.
Ox is echoing. Shane Monaghan says,
"You're echoing."
Apparently.
Test. Here, say something.
Something.
Oh yeah, you are echoing. Hold on. Oh, and that's why you can hear everything. Shit. Hold on. Tell me if you can hear me when I do that.
I hear you, yes.
Okay, so you can still hear me when I did that?
Uh-huh.
Shit. So that's the problem is I think I just figured out what's going on because I'm sending the desktop audio through. It's picking you up twice, so I need to mute you. Oh, no, I know what to do. I just need to mute you in
probably video.
No. And video. Exactly. So let me mute you and try that. Here, give me a second. Mute. All right, now try it. Say something. Nope, now you're not coming through at all. Okay, wait. How do I just mute my audio? Can I mute the tab?
I set my mind in motion.
There, I mute the tab. Try talking now. Okay, hold on. Testing.
The Spice Malone.
Okay, try talking now.
Fire speed.
I got it. Shake. Okay, is he? Can somebody confirm if he is echoing anymore?
Bananas.
Echo,
Word.
Steen,
Echo. Word is pineapple.
All right, I'm also going to fix my headphones so I can hear myself properly here.
All right. Thanks for the super.
Wait, but I can't. Oh shit, I can't hear you now though. Hold on.
It's okay.
I'm like, why aren't you saying anything? I get. Hold on. Let me unmute you here.
Spacecraft visitation.
Unmute.
Yeah,
we're gonna figure this out. I need to write this down so we don't get this wrong next time.
Jerry's on about the Touch Portal app. Probably. I think Stream Deck as well has an app.
They do. They do. But Touch Portal's the one that you want.
Touch Portal.
Okay. So why? Okay.
Touch Portal.
Why are you echoing? That part doesn't make sense to me because when you talk, I am only seeing one audio feed come into OBS. Is he still echoing, guys?
Some folks say they never heard echo. No echo. Banana bread.
We can hear him at least. I never heard an echo. Never heard that. Oh, a bunch of people are saying they never heard an echo. So I think I just chased a red herring because of like some dude's setup. I'm just gonna leave it the way it is right now then. Unless everybody in chat starts complaining. So it looks like the problem is. Can you hear me, Ox?
I hear you. Oh, for sure.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
No echo. Yes. No echo now. Don't hear
testing.
Echo.
There we go. I just fixed an audio issue on my end too, where you were way louder than me in my headphones. Got to learn how to use a mixer board again. It's been a little while. So okay, so I've got that working. You are not echoing. You're coming through in desktop audio. You can now hear this, right? Like when I do stuff like this. Yep.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Okay, so the only problem we have right now is when somebody fires the event where it makes all the noises and flashes the lights, it's not sending the DMX commands, which means that it's failing to call a script. Okay. Well, if you guys don't mind, I mean, I can just do it manually. I can just push this button and do it. I'll do it manually and I'll fix it later. Just remind me at the end of the stream so I don't have that broken again. It's a Python dependency issue.
Are going off? Didn't have? Yes, there is. There's a tiny bit.
It only echoes when the effects are going off.
There is, but it's minor, not annoying. Weird. I don't know.
Yeah, everybody has a different take. A lot of people said there's no echo at all. There is an echo, but it's minor. There is a tiny bit of echo. Yes, there is an echo. Where would the echo be coming from?
I don't know.
Because like when you're speaking, it's just coming through on my desktop audio from, getting passed over from control room.
Remember this?
Let me make sure I don't. Oh, wait a second. No, it's not that.
There is a slight chance that it was me this time because I did have the video audio source as my broadcast stream mix.
That would do it.
It is possible. It is possible that you all were hearing my voice and my monitor at the same time.
You heard it here. It was all his fault. It all worked.
Like 2% chance. Okay?
Yeah, it's all working now though.
I do never fuss with my stuff. Jerry always tinkers, and it is almost always his fault.
Yeah, it is true. It is true.
This time we were playing around before the stream, and I think it might have been me this time.
Okay, so I enabled the hype boss, which I think will now make the events pop up on the screen. I think that was disabled for some reason. Let me make sure. See stream elements.
My keyboard.
What's that?
I just my keyboard.
Whoopsie.
Move my
Oh, actually, I remember why the things aren't popping up on the screen. That's because of stream elements still hasn't fixed that connectivity issue.
Oh, for crying out loud.
Lamers. I'm just gonna switch to another service. What's up? What's happening?
I just wanted to show you.
Oh, you got a doggo wiener. Hey, Nico, thank you for the $10 super chat. He said, did you see? Okay, we read that one, the Elon Musk with the X app. Yeah, about that. Sorry, I got completely off track. So apparently the technical policy says that you have to have the ability to block content, not block people. So technically he could, as far as I understand it. What?
Isn't the content the people?
Well, yes and no. Like, you have to be able to block content, meaning that you have to be able to block the content coming from somebody, but there's no rule saying that you have to have a thing in place that tells somebody that you are blocked. So he could technically just tweak mute. Like mute would basically be the same as blocking somebody. You'd never see anything they posted. They could still follow you. You could still follow them, right? And so, but you wouldn't have to have a block where it says this person is blocking you. That can technically go away.
I guess I'd be interested to see how that turns out.
But also keep in mind, he did delete his tweet. Okay. So I think even he knows. Like, I think somebody came and gave him the talking to. That was like, yeah, you can't do that, or it's not a good idea, or whatever. Because he did delete the tweet. I went and looked this morning. I could not find it. The tweet where he said that the block functionality was getting deleted. I could not find any semblance of that thing anywhere. So
weird.
I'd take it with a grain of salt, honestly. Yeah. Oh, there it is. I just found. Oh shit! I just found where I wasn't. On here, 1920. Hold on here, 1920 by 1080. 1080. There we go. Enter. I was not. My resolution was
TikTok mode.
Oh shit! Did it? Uh-oh. How'd that happen? So height 920, width.
No, width should be 1920.
Oh, right. Thank you. Shit. Hold on. Every time I type into a box, it unchecks it. So width should be 1920. Height should be 1080, right? All right.
Yeah.
There we go. Are we balling now? Does it look right?
That's better.
Okay, cool. You know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to close Control Center so I stop fucking with it. I think that's best. And I'll go ahead and move, let's see here. I'll move the activity feed front and center so that I can see what everybody's talking about. That's probably the better thing. So if you super chat, I can now see the viewer activity and I can see the chat front and center. Okay, that way I don't get distracted by any of this other crap. Let me close this other chat window that doesn't work. Also, Aubrey Aubrey Gravenstein. Thank you for the 350 czars. Have we ever gotten a czar before?
I think so, because it's South African something rand, South African rand, and that does sound familiar.
Just saying thanks for the super glue wart removal tip. Yes.
Smart.
Yes, we got paid for a life tip, one of my life tips. So here, I'll tell you guys that don't know what's going on. If you've ever tried to remove like a planter's wart from your hand, and it'll work anywhere else on your body too. I've tried freezing them before and had it failed. I tried using the acid on them before that like burns them off or whatever. None of it works for me when I get them on my fingers. Like, it's rare, but I can't get rid of them. I finally found a technique that gets rid of them 100% every time, and it's actually the least invasive. All you do is put a drop of super glue, cyanoacrylate, right? You're off the shelf super glue. You just put a drop on it so it covers the whole wart and just slightly over the outside of the wart. And then what you do is you take a little square of duct tape, just like you were like taking like toilet paper to put over a cut after shaving. Take a little thing and put it on top of the super glue, so the super glue will bond to it and glue that little square of duct tape to your skin, and then just change it every 3 to 4 days when it falls off. and that wart will be gone within like a week, 2 weeks top. It'll be completely gone and it will never come back. And I learned that trick a long time ago because I was going nuts, man. I went to the doctor twice and had it burned off, and then I tried to do it myself with one of those acid kits or whatever. Dude, and it was so painful. It was the worst, dude. Like they take like a freaking
liquid nitrogen.
Yeah,
they whack,
and at my doctor's office too. They don't bring in like the little pen thing. They bring in an actual like Q-tip and like a doer of liquid nitrogen, and they're like
the same. It was like I remember because I was I don't remember. I was young-ish, 10 to 13 or so. And I had a big chonky. It was like the size of, like, bigger than a quarter, but not quite 50-cent piece.
Oh, my God.
Heel. Like, on my heel somehow, just like a big chonker.
I've never had one that big.
Dude, it had to have been like a cluster of them. It couldn't have been just one single one, right? Like, I don't know.
I've never seen one that big, yeah.
I had to go in twice and because I did the same. Like I tried the acid stuff. I tried like the cover, so you can get a big, it's like a Band-Aid with the acid stuff inside of it and whatever.
Yep.
Nothing. And it would like, melt away kind of, and you're supposed to. It was gross, but no, man. And then I had to go in there twice to burn that thing. Yeah, it is a burn. Like when they talk about freezer burn or like.
No, it literally sizzles. Stuff, it literally sizzles.
Yeah, walking out of that office, it felt like my foot had been burnt. Like fire burned. It was horrible.
My hands stung the entire day, and it was like sore for a week where like I couldn't even touch it. Yeah, and and I already got one. I can't tell if this is actually that's a bone, I think, but where I usually get the planter's wart is here on my middle finger. And you can't even tell I've ever had one. And it was gnarly too. It was like all the way up to my cuticle and sticking out the side to where it was rubbing on my fingers and stuff and bothering the hell out of me. But I could not get rid of it. But yeah, that's the trick, guys. Just remember that. If anybody has a wart that they want to get rid of, just cover it in a thin layer of super glue. Because it has to be completely covered. Because when it dries, it creates an airtight seal and basically cuts off the oxygen from it so it dies. Because warts have to get their oxygen through the skin. They don't get it through the body because they have no blood flow. So they have to get it through the skin.
Going on.
Yep. So you basically cover it up and you just starve it out and the cells will start to die. And then you put the little piece of duct tape over it because otherwise the super glue will just crunch off every like 2 days. If you put the little piece of tape on top of it to bond it, then the tape sometimes can last for like a whole week.
Okay.
Yeah, and I also like the tape because what'll happen is as it dies, it'll get loose. It'll like literally detach from your body, and then one day it'll just fall off, or you'll just give it a light pull and it'll come off, and you'll literally have the dead wart stuck to the tape.
I wonder if maybe a little simpler or maybe a little say cover it with the glue, let it dry, right? Yep. And then just put like a regular Band-Aid over it.
That would work just fine. You just want to keep it from getting worn off because the glue gets it gets like crunchy. So like if you smack it on something and with no padding, it just comes off. So but no, it works fantastic. That's and fun. It's weird because like when the wart comes off, there's like a little crater there, and you're like it basically looks like there's a little chunk missing out of your finger, but it just grows back in like a couple of days. Like it fills back in, and that's fine. But you'll look at it and you'll be because that wart isn't just on the surface; it's like a ball inside. Oh yeah, I should have. That would have been like millions and millions of views.
It still could.
So there you go. Interesting life hack, and it worked. Tons of people thanked me for that back in the past, but I'm surprised somebody's just now tipping for it because I think I made that tip like 2-3 years ago. That's awesome. That's fantastic. Evergreen. Well, I'm glad I could help somebody. Evergreen. Yeah. So we might as well just out of the gate go after the whole drama thing and talk about it with Linus Tech Tips, especially since Linus Tech Tips Expo just happened. I went to the Linus Tech Tips Expo. Man. I was invited as a VIP. Full disclosure, Linus put me up in a hotel, and I didn't get paid anything, but he did get us a hotel to stay at. And so it was, and I have to say, the man himself.
That's cool. That's cool.
And here's the thing. So a lot of people give Linus shit, and I want to tell you from my experience, from somebody who's known him for a really long time. Linus knows that I'm not making YouTube videos. He knows that I'm dying on Twitter. He knows that my health is pretty much just taking me out of the game, and I'm not even considered a peer in that group anymore. However, he still reached out and contacted me and was like, I would love for you and the family to come up and attend the event if you'd like. We'll put you up in a hotel room. We'll take care of it. And I thought that was really stand up of him, because usually when you're taking on something like that to bring a creator to your thing, there has to be like a value, like you're getting more out of the person than you're paying. And that hotel room was not cheap, dude. It was like $400 a night or something. And we were there for like 3 days. And so I was like, that was really stand up of them to just say, hey, do you want to come out? And They made me a VIP, and they let me do a meet and greet with all my fans and set me up with a place where I could go sit down and everybody could come and do signings and stuff like that. So it was a really great experience, and everybody I saw there absolutely loved it. Like I ran into so many other creators that I never dreamed I would meet. Like probably one of the highlights is Electroboom. So I've
heard the name.
Yeah, he's the dude with the unibrow that's always in the accent that's always doing like electrocuting himself. Like he has the electric guitar and it's literally just plugged into the outlet and it's like sparking. He's always getting shocked and stuff. If you saw him, you'd know him. He's like super viral across the internet. Well, he brought like this little look him up. Look up Electroboom. So he brought like this taser wand with him, and he let me get video of me tasing myself with like his little taser wand that he created. It's basically like a portable Van de Graaff generator.
Yes, I've definitely seen this guy before. I did not associate the picture to the name. I've heard them, and I've seen this guy and heard the name, but now they are connected.
Yeah, yes. It was an amazing experience for me, and I just want to full disclosure, regardless of what anybody thinks about it, I think Linus was super stand up for inviting me. His team treated me like I was a Class A citizen all the way, full access to the green room, gave me merch, let me build a couple of screwdrivers. You know, I got one. My son got to build one. My wife got to build one. You don't have to put the sticker on there either. We chose to put the sticker on there, but yeah, even these screwdrivers right there for the custom screwdriver build, I think it was like $120 piece. They let us build 3 of them. Yeah, so I just want to full disclosure here. Linus has always treated me well and has always been nice to me. And even when I'm at my worst and shit's not going well, and he's not going to get anything from doing it. So I just wanted to make that clear because I think since I'm weighing in with an opinion and everything, it's important that people understand that, you know, I am biased because I have a relationship with him a little bit, but I can also be super objective. And the reason why I'm going to be super objective is I'm going to say Steve's video that came out completely caught me off guard, but was not unexpected. Yeah. And the reason why I say it's not unexpected is because the delivery definitely had a personal touch to it. Like, I'm not going to say this isn't personal. Yeah, you can definitely tell there's something personal going on there.
That's part I'm missing. There was a blip at the beginning of the first GN video where someone was calling into question both GN and Hardware Unbox. Like,
right, there was a call out during the tour.
Something about reusing data, reusing testing data, I think is what that was. And they're like,
and so they kind of invited this. They did invite this because. Kind of.
So I feel like maybe the release of it was sort of motivated by like the call out, right? Like that. But what I saw from GN was like the motivation of putting the video out, I think might have been a little spicy, a little personal attacky, but the content of it seemed to me very in line with any other takedown that they've done of new.
Oh, the content was right on. He backed up everything he said.
It was very much what I've come to expect from Gamers Nexus. You all know I do not consume a lot of YouTube content, in particular Linus's content, whatever channel. But and I've made comments on my thoughts on whatever the content that LMG produces and things like that. But
I know your opinion on it for sure.
Has Gamers Nexus it was as well thought out and evidenced a whatever expose, I guess, if you want to use like some journalism terms. That's what it felt like to me. They were exposing some of this stuff, but it wasn't anything new. No. Like from what Steve showed in that video, this was it seems to me that the LTT community has been calling this out for a while now, and I know they only used like three examples or something of different videos, but when you put out what it was like 3,500 videos or something, they have a fucking shit ton of videos. But even if you only just look at like the last year, this year, I don't know, I don't recall dates and stuff from what he was using in examples, but oh crap, I unplugged my keyboard again. Where was I at? This isn't new. This isn't like they've only just been screwing up in the last couple months or the last handful of videos. This is a continuous issue. Like, this has been something that has and not just called out by GN, but the community itself in the comments and the content are showing, hey man, this is wrong. What's up with that? The people inside the company even like if they're putting corrections in during editing, like that's weird. And also the clips from the what it's like to work for me video, where his employees are saying like, oh man, I wish we had more time on this, I'm not really proud. It boggles my mind to think that Linus didn't watch that video, which I guess he made promises that he wouldn't in order to elicit like honest answers from the team. But what they're saying in that video to me says that there is no framework or process in place for upward feedback. And if there is, then it has been deliberately ignored. There's no way that 4 or 5 producers, or I don't know their titles or whatever, there's no way. There's like 3 or 4 people who said, I wish we had more time. I wish we had more time. I'm not proud of the videos that we're producing or that I'm editing. Robotic echo back again.
Yeah, guys, just ignore the echo. I'm trying to fix something right now, and it's
okay,
doing something weird.
And so to me, like I said, that to me shows either a lack of process or a deliberate ignoring of the feedback from people lower down the stack. This is a deliberate choice from, if not Linus himself, like specifically. Because like I know how sometimes the guy at the very top of the pyramid can be insulated from some of the things that are happening lower down the org chart.
That's incredibly common in big companies.
Well, and frankly, that's kind of their job, right? Like a CEO has people underneath them to handle the smaller stuff. Like it's the CEO's job to make like a handful of like major decisions every day. Right? They shouldn't be bothered by the minutia of what inventory, right? It's not Linus's job to work.
Oh shit, hold on. Sorry about that. I cut off right there then.
When there's a problem, the buck does stop at the guy at the very top, of course, because like eventually all of the the hiring and all that stuff. Whatever. And so, yeah, it highlights extreme systemic and process issues. And from my understanding, LTT as a channel has been around for like 12 years. LMG as a company has been like 10 plus years. And as a part of a company that has grown quickly, from small, like I joined Puget Systems with 20-ish employees, and now they're like over 60, I think, or something like that. And having worked for other very small companies as well, where like I was one of 3 employees, one of 4 employees, right? I know I have some little experience and knowledge that like it is 100% a leadership issue. If not Linus himself personally making these decisions, then the people that he has trusted to make those decisions are like, man.
Well, remember, they're in a transitional phase. They hired a new CEO, and it's a transition right now. It's been about a month. He's been in about a month, but he hasn't fully taken over yet. Like they've been doing handoff. It takes longer than a month to hand off to a brand new CEO.
Fair, but okay, then it is all Linus's fault then. Like,
no. Here, hold on.
You can't say growing pains. You can't say, oh, we're human for a decade, and not have process changes. Like the production schedule, 25 videos a week. Like you have an unbroken decade-long streak of WAN shows or whatever, right? Jerry, stop typing. Can't hear Ox. Oh, they have different priorities now from the beginning, right?
You simmer down, Shane.
The thing is, blame Colt. No, the thing, 120 employees for, yeah, right. The thing is, like, as you grow, it's important to make sure that you have the processes in place to like accomplish the mission, right? And I've heard things that like they just have stuff scattered all over the place, like just tucked up under desks and stuff, like parts and things, review parts and motherboards and like there's no organization to, from what I've heard. I don't know how true this is.
The fact that a prototype got auctioned off is inexcusable.
And that's it. That's what I mean. And it highlights like I kind of got into it, like not got into it. But
how many disconnects do you have to take a prototype piece of hardware you were entrusted with for a review and a graphics card that was on loan and take 9 weeks to get the graphics card back and then months later sell the prototype or auction off, but still the ends is the same. Like you took something you were entrusted with and broke that chain of custody.
Then that's what I mean. It's bonkers to me that they agreed twice, from what I understand and have seen. They twice, yeah, we'll send it back to you, and somehow that got into
their teams are not talking.
That it was okay to auction off. Like that's nobody. Like what is weird, but again, that highlights a framework issue where somebody grabbed that, somebody low down on the totem pole grabbed that thing and said this would be great to put into the auction thing. They either didn't know what it was or where it was from, didn't question it if somebody up above said, hey, put this into the pile. Like there were a number of steps that had to happen before that got into the pile of things to auction off, and nobody stopped and was like, hey, is this okay? Like, it does feel to me like they're getting a little comfortable with their position in the community, and it's allowed for some serious lapses in judgment. But the one thing I do want to point out here, though, just so it's not, because again, I think that we should represent both sides, right? And again, full disclosure, I'm also friends with Steve. So I consider Steve a friend. So Steve and Linus are both my friends. So it puts me in a difficult position when, they're publicly at odds. And I knew something was wrong long before this video came out, because Steve didn't go to LTX and he's been at every other LTX. So the fact that he didn't show up, and the fact that he didn't even mention it, didn't say anything about it, didn't even say like, oh, I got some other thing going. No, he wanted to make it clear through the silence that he wasn't going to be there and he wasn't supporting Linus. And so I knew that there was something going on there. That's why I said I wasn't surprised when I finally saw the video come out after LTX Expo concluded. Sure. Especially since they finally had the linchpin of the story, which is, they auctioned off a prototype piece of hardware, which was like the last major piece that he needed to make the expose without it seeming like it was just a straight up hit piece. But I will say this, Steve's video, other than the personal nature that you could tell that he definitely, it was personal for him because he was attacked. Yeah. And to be fair, Linus wasn't the one that attacked him. It was Linus's employee during the lab tour who was involved in the testing operation that was like, oh yeah, other people in the community, hint, of course, Gamers Nexus and hardware don't do the level of testing that we do, which is bullshit, by the way, because Steve was doing that testing long before they even started. And Linus himself has even said that they're still in the testing phase, figuring out how shit works, and they don't know their ass from a hole in a wall just yet, and they're going to learn. He said that himself many times. So that statement was completely out of left field, and I think it was one of those things where it was a lab tour. It wasn't them creating a video, so they didn't really think in their head consciously that somebody would be releasing this. Fine. And so I think it was one of those things where it's like that just kind of brought it all to head. But then good things are happening because of it, okay? Number one, Linus is shutting down operation of videos for a week. To give you an idea of how much money that is, that's going to be like $1 million in revenue lost while he's still employing the employees. Hold on, you can say your piece here in a second. No, I know how you feel about Linus. I feel differently about Linus, so we're two sides of the coin. We got to both be able to say something here. It's not even that part, but go ahead. Yeah.
No, so here's the thing. He's shutting down operations, Wancho, and video production for a week while still employing the 100 people at the company, including his CEO. The revenue spent on that is going to be a while to recover. That's not even with the hit. It's even going to be longer, right? He also has agreed to do an investigation into the harassment that's been reported. From a former employee. And not only that, he agreed to bring in an external party at his own expense to conduct an investigation so that his bias wouldn't play into it, so that he'd get to the bottom. I think that's a really stand-up thing. People didn't say he had to do that. He could have just said, oh, our internal HR department's looking into it, but clearly that wasn't going to be enough for the community. So he proactively said, you know what, I'm going to take myself out of I'm going to go pay these people, and they're going to come in and unbiasedly. They get paid whether they say I'm a piece of shit or not. Let them come in and swing, and then we're going to fix the process. So they do want to fix the process, but it is a very broken machine, right? They've been pushing so hard for so long, and they've been scaling at a rate that's unbelievable. Actually, I'd say unprecedented for a YouTube channel. Like the size of their company and how fast it's growing, and how fast they're growing the operation, number of channels, number of videos, producers, writers, editors, HR people, merch creation teams, all the shit that they're doing is in a growth that's just crazy, right? But that growth also requires an insane amount of money to operate. Like 100 employees. Think about the 100 employees. If you got to pay each one of them, like, again, and as I understand it, they get paid decently there. From the people I've talked to, they said that they get paid a decent living wage. It's not like shitty minimum wage or whatever. So let's say they're all making, 60, 70, 80, some of them making 150, 200,000 a year, depending on their position in the company. So when you think about that, over 100 employees or whatever, payroll is going to be millions and millions and millions of dollars a year. And so they have to produce a lot of content to create enough of a buffer that during the downtimes, they don't just collapse as a company and have to lay off half the company. So, and that's why they need to make so much money. People are like, well, you don't need to make that much revenue. Like, you can be fine. But no, you do have to make that much revenue in this business, because there's downturns where you don't make hardly any money. Like, there's up times during the year and there's downtimes during the year. So enable to maintain the team without constantly downsizing it, upsizing it, firing people, bringing them back, taking people's wages away and not giving them raises and stuff like that. In order to make that work, you have to have enough of a buffer to ride out that storm. And so that's built into the equation. But I will say that they are working way too hard. That is clear. And they've said that themselves a million times in WAN shows and videos. Linus himself has released. They all said they need more time. They're making too many mistakes. They don't have time to go back and do shit properly the way they want. They even admit that themselves. So that needs to be fixed. I think that's going to be a positive outcome of this whole experience. The harassment that's happening inside of the company still needs to be investigated. Keep in mind, there's charged opinions on all sides.
I'm not really going to touch on that, because
same here, because I think that's a charged thing
handled in the way that it needs to be, and there's nothing really to say.
I just want to say the way he's handling it is correct, though.
Not to comment on.
But for my view of this situation, I believe that Steve backed himself up in the video. Everything he needed to say was correct. Like the video and the facts are right. You usually expect that with Steve. Steve is pretty meticulous in how he does this stuff. The call out from Linus was clear. Like, the video that was released by somebody who did the tour or whatever clearly shows his employee basically throwing shade at Steve and other people in the community for not doing the level of testing they are, when clearly they were doing that level of testing before they were and are way more experienced at it. So they kind of invited that on themselves by doing that. So that part of it, I think, is completely justified. But I do think that something good will come out of this. I do think that by them shutting the company down for a week, even though they're going to take a huge revenue hit from it, and restructuring some things and figuring out how to do stuff in a way that the employees don't feel so pushed to their absolute breaking point, I think is going to yield a better result overall, and you're going to start seeing better results from them. However, do I think it's going to change everything and their content's going to be at like Gamer Nexus's level of perfect every single time? I don't think so, because they can't run that level of content that fast and make that money while maintaining that with the team that they have. They would have to downscale this and slow down and accept less revenue and everything like that to do it the way that other people are, in my opinion. I don't watch Linus for accuracy, though. Just to let you guys know, and I've stated that before a million times. Gamers Nexus, I go to for hard data. I go to Linus just to kind of be entertained and some bumblefuckery, video quality, production quality. Like, I do enjoy some of the content, not all the content, but that's what I go there for. I don't go there for the end-all, be-all decision on if I should buy something or not.
I agree there. So, but as you mentioned, you mentioned that they themselves have admitted that their production schedule is
100%, 100 many times,
and yet nothing changed.
Correct.
So,
well, no, hold on. Again, before we say nothing changed, let's hold on. He did appoint a CEO so that he could actually come down and help with video production. He said specifically the reason he was hiring a CEO so he could come down and be in front of the camera and more involved in the company's day-to-day operations and get a pulse for it. The new CEO has only been in transition for a month, so who's to say that this isn't part of that process to change?
A couple months, but it's still 2-3 months, whatever. That's not that much. So, okay, fair. However, how long have they been doing it this way? How long have they been complaining that their production schedule sucks? How many times, we don't know internally, how many times their employees have tried to say, hey, we should redo this. Hey, maybe we should take this a little slower. Hey, like, we don't know internally, because, and it sounds to me, or from what little we've seen, it gives the impression that there is that the base of the pyramid is either cannot, for whatever reason, like in the recent video, Yvonne said, "I'm putting my foot down. We're stopping production for a week." That's only because of all of this. That only because of the pushback, the fact that they've lost like 10,000 Floatplane subscribers. They lost 200,000 subscribers from their main channel on YouTube and things like that. It's only until the point where it starts hurting the bottom line are they actually making the changes. It's clear that this has been a pattern of issue for a while, at least a year, a year. I mean, and so that says to me that leadership doesn't care until it starts hurting the bottom line.
Same thing with Microsoft, same thing with Amazon, same thing with Tesla, Google. Anytime you're a big company, that's how it works, unfortunately. No. But here's the thing. People are looking at them like they're a YouTuber when they're literally a media company, like a full-blown, full-scale media company that even maintains their own streaming and content platform. So the amount
like a YouTuber.
No, they do. That's fair. No, that's fair. That's fair.
Insane video production schedule. They're like,
keep in mind, I'm not justifying this. I'm not justifying this. What I'm saying is I'm trying to compare them to the expectations of a big company, right? Like when I worked at Microsoft, they didn't give a fuck about me. They don't even know my name, right? Like above my manager, right? It's like I'm just a number and I crank out things. Yeah, I could literally fucking reinvent the company and the CEO would be like, oh, some guy did it. He's not by name, right?
And so partly too. Okay, so. The argument
of
like,
Duke Frucom, we talk over each other. If you've noticed, it's a two-way fucking street because of the 2-second delay. So fucking don't be one-sided on this.
Yeah, it's okay. Well, yeah, we do that a lot. I don't take it personal. It's fine. Okay. So the part of that part of like leadership has obviously been ignoring these issues until now it's hitting the pocketbook. Second part,
right? 100% agree.
Oh bugger! I just had it, and then the interruption.
He only has 100 employees, not thousands.
Doesn't matter.
100 employees is a lot. That is a big company.
That's I mean, in a lot of places, that's considered a medium-sized business.
Right. Correct. I'm not saying that they are Microsoft. I'm just saying that's a lot of people. Like I can't even remember 100 fucking names if I had a company with 100 employees.
So the argument, I don't go to Linus for accuracy, I go to his entertainment and stuff. However, they themselves want to be an accurate, like high level, like test. Why would you spend, I've seen everything from 10 to $30 million on this lab if you weren't going to be, if you didn't want to be taken seriously for the data that you're putting out? And so, okay, maybe they're figuring out how to work their lab or whatever, but like I've seen better results. I've seen better results from guys who are doing YouTube videos in their garage, you know, as far as results and data are concerned. Like,
here, hold on. Can you turn up your microphone a little bit? Because Duke Frucom's saying that you're not as loud as I am, and in my ears and my monitor levels, we are exactly at the same dB. So
yeah, I mean, I normally leave my. Is that better? I'll boost a little bit.
We'll have to ask them in chat, because on my side, we both sound exactly the same. The monitor values and OBS are the same. So he's saying that you're way quieter, and that's why I'm stomping on you, and you're not stomping on me when I'm talking. So I don't really know. I don't know. Maybe there's some audio ducking shit that's going on with YouTube. I don't know. Yeah. But there is a delay. There is a delay, and that's why we talk over each other, guys. We can't go 10-4 after every fucking thing. So
it just, man, oof, ox that burn. I don't even know. But so the entertainment versus like technical accuracy, they want to be treated seriously in that sort of like space, right? Like I agree. Gamers Nexus is like the data. It's just the facts, ma'am, right? And yeah, and that's part of why I don't care for the LTT content. I don't ever want to come off as like a personal attack to Linus personally. I have had one brief interaction with them. I thought it was weird, but the overall, I look at the little bit of content that I've seen is not for me, and I find it mildly distasteful and almost disrespectful sometimes to the hardware. Like I don't want to go down that path. So if they want to be taken seriously, they've spent all this money on this lab to get good data. They should be at least trying to have good data even before that, like, which is a totally doable thing. Like, I don't expect you to do DB testing on case fans and stuff. Like, I mean, GN now has a thing that they can do that, but like that is like a nice to have thing. Like GN has built themselves as an authority of good data for many years before they decided to start getting into power supply testing and fan noise testing and things like that.
Sure.
You can add on to those little bits by doing good process work before that, right? And
I agree.
And the comment of like, oh well, I didn't want to spend $500 to retest something appropriately because
that was the dumbest thing he could have possibly said in the moment. Like that was pretty dumb.
Oh
yeah.
But then and that's coming on the back of brag about how like my company's valued at $100 million or something, like, and you're gonna say, oh, I don't want to spend $500 of time to retest it.
Well, not only that, they've spent like $30,000 for something to throw away afterwards. Like, you know, right. It's
they sent and so the Billet Labs thing is not an isolated incident. To me, the whole process of the Billet Labs thing is a symptom of the overall issue of the lack of care and concern for quality data and internal communication and processes. Just it is a bright highlight of the breakdown of process in their company. Miscommunications. The one guy said, "Oh, I thought I sent this email to so and so, but apparently I didn't."
The breakdown internally is pretty big. Like the communication is really bad inside of the company, and that's one of the biggest things they need to fix.
Crazy to me. That's crazy.
Like the fact that an email went out about the prototype, but the right person didn't get put on the to line when that's the person the mail was supposed to be sent to, and then nobody questioned whether or not why aren't they responding. Like to go back and double check it. Like so, that's you know that should have been done. Yeah. That was a bad mistake.
Michael Adkinson is right. Yes. My argument is that Linus is to blame, and everybody does know he is. They grew too fast, and Linus hired himself a CEO. Right. And then when all of this comes out,
well, all the blame goes to the CEO. It's not my fault.
Like
that's why Linus hired a CEO.
Has a terrible response to the initial video. Terrible.
Linus does have a history of doing that. The knee-jerk reaction rarely works out for him.
It's so weird to me as well, because like you have a CEO in place. Is it then now your job to respond to that sort of thing? Shouldn't you let the boss take care of that? Of course. Well, and in Linus's mind, or I'm gonna just fill in some blanks. Of course not, because he's the face. Right?
Correct.
Even if Taryn, I think is the name, Taryn, if the new CEO had put out a statement, everybody would have expected Linus to say something too, because it's really his baby. It doesn't matter who you put in the CEO position. We all know that Linus is going to be pulling some of the major strings here. And
well, no, I mean, him and Yvonne are 50% shareholders, and the new CEO has no shares. He's just hired as a figurehead. So even though he's taken over a lot of the operations of the company, Linus still clearly, if he wants something done a certain way, it will be done that way. Like he has the ability to fire that CEO. Like he doesn't have anything built in, as far as I know, that allows that CEO to challenge him and force him to step down and decisions for the company. If Linus wants to step up and intercept something, he can. Same thing as Bill Gates. Right. Bill Gates, if he doesn't want something done at Microsoft, it's not getting done. He might not, just sit on the board of directors and not be the CEO anymore. But trust me, with his controlling share, if he puts his foot down, people have to listen to him. So and it's always been that way. So it's more of the reason Linus appointed a CEO is so that he could back off on a lot of the paperwork aspects of the company and go back to being more in front of the camera and more creative. Like he wanted to be more involved in the process.
Then it was and then the response after that too.
And look at LTS Expo. They had to plan that while transitioning to a new CEO. Yeah, that was a huge event.
It reminds me of remember when Fable was being developed and almost coming out, the old Fable, the first one, like on Xbox, I think the original Xbox, doesn't matter. Peter Molyneux, right? He's like the lead game dev or designer or whatever. And he made a lot of promises in the press about what because he's the excited nerd, right? He wants all this great stuff and we're going to do these cool things and blah, 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 blah. But that's why you don't put those kind of people in front of the press, because they're too close to the product. They're too close to the baby. And they're going to talk big about it and make 100%. Claims and promises that can't be made. And that's why
be defensive and be super defensive.
Yeah. But Fable did same thing happened with No Man's Sky. Mm-hmm. You put the freaking game designer,
Cyberpunk,
the lead game dev, in front of the media, and you made a bunch of promises that couldn't be handled. Couldn't be Cyberpunk a little to a similar extent, but that was still like PR stuff, right? They didn't. I don't think they put anybody from dev. But that's why you don't put your dev people. You don't put the
no, but who authorized PR to say those things though? Still, the CEO is still responsible for that at the end of the day.
And so that's what it feels similar to that. Like, Linus pops off with some emotional response that is inappropriate for someone near the top of the company. There should have been like a phone call or a group chat with Linus, Yvonne, and Taryn, and whoever the top 3 to 5 people are, and say, how are we going to respond to this? Again, as a member of a small company, that's how that works for in the company that I work for, is like, I check with people before putting out a statement. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I'm always really concerned about talking about Puget Systems stuff. But that's when GN...
don't do any comparisons there, because you work there, and it's like...
No, but as an example, when GN got the system from Puget Systems, people were in the comments asking questions like, what's Puget Systems going to do about it? I asked John, what do you want to say about this? I didn't just go rogue and start popping off myself, though I have the
means.
I do have some authority in that space to make those sorts of decisions. I'm not going to do that.
Right.
Like, and so like, it I don't know, man, it just highlights another part of a facet of the, like, they're treating the big company as if it's still like a small YouTuber, and it's not. Why didn't Steve
and I think that's fair.
Comments? Because he doesn't have to. He doesn't have to. Like, I don't think that's a fair attack against Steve, that, oh, he should have, because none of this is new, right? None of this is new. Nothing that he pointed out was like, oh, this only just happened, right? So now comment on it. This is something that they have seen problems. They've tried to correct them in a poor fashion, and have just, in my mind, it's willful. After a few times, you are choosing not to do your due diligence. You're choosing to, like, corrections in the comments not being pinned. I don't know whose job that is, but like or putting in corrections during editing, and even some of the corrections aren't very good, you know, that kind of thing. And so I don't think it was Steve's obligation to ask for a comment in that sense. If it was brand new, if it was like, hey, Asus, what are you going to do about these motherboards exploding?
No, like I said, the timing made it personal.
Then, yeah, some of that, and I see why some people.
And did you see his last video? Did you see Steve's video on the sound chamber? No, the sound chamber video. No, so in his sound chamber video, he's like, yeah, we're building the sound chamber to do actual testing, and no, we will not accept money from any companies, because that would be a conflict of interest to do any testing from companies. That was clearly a call out to Linus. I mean, even his tone and everything was like, listen, we're doing this for the right reasons. Linus is doing it for the wrong reasons. So you can tell that there's some animosity and anger there, and that was there before even LTX. Like I said, he didn't go to LTX. Clearly, there was some stuff going on there. I think it all started with the Trust Me Bro backpack situation. I want to say that's when Steve kind of started like backing away, when I felt like they stopped being, you know, friends and collaborating and doing stuff, and started being kind of like adversarial towards each other a little bit. Like, I think it's one of those things where it's like too many alphas in the pool, and this happens. Like, same thing has happened with me and other creators. It's inevitable, you know, when somebody else feels like they're eating your lunch. You know, when you come into a space and you become good at it, like Steve started doing the testing stuff long before Linus did, like where he was doing the power supply testing and stuff, and doing like bringing in like an actual electric engineer and stuff like that. And I feel like when Linus did that, he may have felt like, and I'm not saying he does feel this way, I'm just saying this is my hypothesis, is that he feels like he was kind of moving into his space and eating his lunch. Like that was his thing that differentiated him from what other people in the community did. And Linus is like, oh, well, that's being really successful for him, so we're going to go create the same thing and do labs.
I can see that.
And that's how I see it from an outside observer. I haven't spoke to Steve. I haven't spoke to Linus about this at all. I'm just saying, from the tone of the video and watching the relationship go from incredibly positive, where at one point I felt like Steve even looked up to Linus, like the way he acted like at previous LTXs and stuff like that, to this, after that Trust Me Bro situation. And you also have to realize that Steve took a huge turning point when he did the Newegg expose. So the Newegg expose changed him from just being the hardware reviewer guy to being like the hardcore, I'm going to hold people's feet to the fire, and I'm going to be the guy that tells the truth.
Great.
Yeah,
honestly,
we needed one of those. We needed one.
I honestly think that, and I 100% agree. I think that is what changed GN and Steve maybe in particular. I don't know GN's structure, but and so I don't want to put a lot of things just on Steve. I'm sure he has a team, but I think that's what changed that really was the pivot for GN to, like you said, not just hardware, but like, we are going to be the
journalists.
Like, I don't know, the Washington Post of tech now. Like, and honestly, I think that's awesome. I think they're in the right position to do it. And that's why I said, I think the video GN vids are too long, 45 minutes for something that could be 5 or 10, I guess. But I think that's more of an audience sort of thing. Because
someone in chat said Gamers Nexus is jealous. he's not jealous. I don't believe this is a jealousy issue.
I can see why it looks that way, but I guarantee it's not.
It's not,
because it's like,
you used to look up to them. You don't look up to people you're jealous of.
They're targeting different audiences. They very much are like Jerry just said before. Linus is like entertainment. Gamers Nexus is like the hard hitting facts, right?
That was the clear delineation before, and now Linus seems like he's doing the same thing Gamers Nexus is doing with a whole, and he adds on more content streams. That's the thing, is Linus is like, I do one channel, then another channel, then another show, and another show. So it's like, if Linus sees something successful happening on the internet, he can replicate it. He has the resources to do that. And I think that makes people feel like, wait a second, you got that from us. Why are you eating our lunch? Why are you doing the same thing we're doing? And I don't even think that's really, as that might have started the whole thing. And I'm not saying it did, but I'm saying even if it did, I think the thing that really set this off was that he felt like Linus was being disingenuous in his reviews and not caring about the data because it was about the money. Like the trend that he saw is that Linus was selling out, and that he didn't feel like Linus's public persona of not selling out was really matching what he was actually doing. And so it made Gamers Nexus feel like, why am I being like so transparent and so stand up in what I'm doing and taking the time and everything to do all this stuff, when you can get like 10 million views a video by not caring about any of that, just throwing it out, and it doesn't matter at the end of the day. And a lot of that comes down to audience. A lot of that just comes down to audience. If you have an audience that's infinitely forgiving and just watches you because of who you are, they don't give a shit about the facts. They'll accept any apology from you whatsoever. Like, I've had people defend fucking drama tubers that completely destroy other people's lives because they're entertaining. They're like, oh, don't take it so personally. I just watch it because it's funny. You know, it's like, people will defend anything. But at the end of the day, when you have two people that are in the same space doing the same thing, and you feel like the other person has more resources and more capability to do what you're doing, and they do it poorly, like they replicate it, they do it poorly, and they get more views and more money from it, that's got to be frustrating as hell.
And then dare to call out the
that's the big one.
I think that's really the, again, I think that's what motivated the release of this video.
This video wouldn't have happened right now if it wasn't for that.
Personal conversation, not a set of emails back and forth between LTT and GN, is that they called into question the methods of GN and Hardware Unboxed. And I do think Steve took a little personal umbrage with that. I would have, like, no, we do this strict. We do this in a science way. Like, we have like these methodologies, and I've done it myself. I've done it myself when I was doing live streams for Puget Systems. I've gotten real spicy on stream with people calling into question their methods and the conclusions that Puget Systems has come to, and I've taken that personally.
I take it personally, and I've never been paid a dime.
And like at that time, I was very invested in how Puget Systems does, and I still am. I don't need to call into.
As an outside observer, though, I know what Puget Systems does. Like, I know the level of detail that they go to, and most outsiders that are bitching about it don't know that. They don't understand what's truly happening. I'm like, man, there might even be a clip of it or something. You probably, the VOD might even still be up. I don't know. I've seen you get spicy before, back when you're doing Professor Beard Disorder.
Like no. Like calling somebody and being real spicy back at them and saying, no, you build this same machine, you run the same test, you'll get the same results. But then Geomean, like,
Sandro named it.
We do the right thing.
So in chat,
LTT is top gear. Sure.
Yeah. I think that is a completely fair statement.
Right. Where they're enthusiasts, but they don't take it too seriously.
It's a group of people that joke around. Everything's scripted, but comes off as if it isn't scripted. I mean, that's it. That's exactly what it is. You watch it for entertainment and because you like to see cool tech and you like to see stuff. It's not because they're not Consumer Reports. But like you said, they're trying to become Consumer Reports. They're trying to do the same thing that things like Steve is doing.
Yeah, and honestly, I don't know, man.
They shouldn't have thrown shade at Steve, though. That was this whole thing, honestly, because this is the way I see it. And this doesn't like this needed to change. So I'm glad that this happened for just so that there will be change, because I believe that everybody involved, even Linus himself, deserves to have some change. And the reason I say that is because I watched Linus for the 3 days that I was at LTX and the 2 days that the event was running and even staying after hours and everything. Linus never even for a second like just sat down and went somewhere to like rest. He was running around like he was fucking just like psycho, always going. This. Like he is on everything 24/7. I don't think that guy like sleeps. I think he just works, and I know people like that. Jay is very much the same way. Like Jay's 2 cents. He will play hard, but he also, when he's in work mode, workaholic 24/7, never stop working.
That's another good example though too, right? Like Jay's kind of like the liquid cooling guy. Like
100%.
He seems to have positioned himself in that niche. Like that's his thing, and he does it really good. And you know, he still does hardware reviews and stuff and has opinion pieces and all that stuff too. But like that's his thing, right? Is he's the liquid cooling guy. And
he's also proved that he will bite the hand that feeds him too.
Hey,
which is good. That's good for a reviewer. For a reviewer, you need to be able to do that. Yeah.
That shows a good integrity, right? And so there's a difference between LTT and GN or Hardware Unboxed or whatever. They have a mission, a goal. They have a thing, a why, right? Why are we doing this? GN, why? What do you say GN's why is? Why do we do what we do? We do this because we want to be the like unbiased journalistic tech journal people, right? Why does Jay do what he does? Jay does it because he wants to be the best liquid cooling guy. Why does LTT do this? I don't know. Because it used to be, we want to have fun with the tech and like show off some of this stuff, and like we do these weird goofy things like I'm cooling my server rack with my pool or whatever. And okay, then be that, right? And if you want to do something else, you can totally do that under that umbrella of like, well, okay, we're gonna have LTT where this is like just our kind of goofy stuff, and then we can have like Linus Labs, and that's going to be our like data driven wing. But the thing is like I don't think any of this was ever approached from a process standpoint. Like, okay, how? Because it goes like, why is in the middle, right? And then what do we do? Why? What do we do to make our why happen? And then how do we do that?
Yeah.
And I feel like the what and the how the what is still there, right? Oh, what are we going to do about this? We're going to build a lab. We're going to get all this good data, blah, blah, blah. And then the how part got lost. It's because it just boggles my mind that the prototype thing got lost. Or
the company grew too fast, dude. I chucked that up to the company grew too fast, and Linus just wouldn't rein it in and slow down. Like he wanted to go as fast as he could, because I think that's one of those things where it's like he holds himself to a certain level of I need to, do as much as I humanly possibly can.
I need to have a better understanding of LTT's growth timeline, because I know the channel has existed for like 12 or 15 years, and then LMG as a company has only been around for maybe like 10-ish. And so I'd have to have a better understanding of their growth from the transition between just LTT, the YouTube channel, to LMG, the company, and now where they are today. Because like it feels in my gut, it feels disingenuous to say that, they grew too fast. Because like 10, 15 years of this, unless they just suddenly hired 75 people and that kind of a thing.
Somebody correct me, but as I understand it, they doubled in size within like a 2-year period. Like it wasn't linear. It ramped way up. Like when they bought the second building, and they basically just like built out the whole building and hired a shitload of new people and stuffed them in there, and they had to handle the attrition of those people. and bringing in new people to replace them. They had to hire managers. They had to hire for the labs. They had to hire like experts in the field. But the problem was the experts were doing the testing and getting the data best they could in the time frame. But then the writers weren't putting it in the videos because of time crunches and miscommunications. That's bad. But again,
it shows a lack of process,
growing too fast,
and then it yeah, man. I
what
guess,
Linus should have done is he should have appointed a new CEO. Like, honestly, this is my opinion. He should have appointed a more experienced CEO for that level of growth before the growth happened. Like, he should have preemptively done that.
I could see where it would be more like an operations manager.
Sure.
Like Linus is going to be the captain as CEO. I have the vision. I know what I want this company to be. But I can't do that because I've never grown a company. Right. So I need somebody with experience under me.
Well, not a company that size.
To me, right? Whether under or next to and on the org chart, who has done this before, who has been in charge of the growth of a company, and so that we can build these processes, these SOPs. They talked about like weird convoluted SOPs and like this and that. And again, that's part of the growth, and it's good that they talked about that. It just, I feel like there wasn't like a point where they were like reviewing them and kind of like making sure that it all made sense and things like that. And again, I guess that can be attributed to growing too fast. And Gary is the process guy. I don't even know the org chart anymore. The dude had like 7 things that he was in charge of. Yeah, I remember that.
Like somebody earlier in chat said Luke should have stepped in. It's like Luke is a partner in the business, but he also runs the float plane operation. That's very detached from the video creation aspect of the company, just like the merch creation is very detached too. So there's all these different micro companies running under LMG. And the biggest problem is the communication between them. Like they even said that in their own video. It's like they're like, we had the fixed results like before the video was published. The editors didn't put them in. Like they went through the effort to do the testing. They had the data. The editors just didn't put it in because the communication wasn't there. It's like they did the work. They published it. The editors didn't get it in time, ran it and put it to press. So there was not a good mechanism in place to make sure that they had a stop button that was just like, nope, stop the presses. And they were also trying to meet deadlines because when you have 2 sponsors per video and you're making 20 some videos a week, if you miss that video deadline, that backs up everything else just like an airport. And so you have to be really,
and that's horrible.
And I'm not, here's the thing. A lot of people I'm sure right now are like, oh, dude, you're just defending Linus because he's a friend and stuff. No, not really, because I'll defend Steve too. No, I think Steve's completely right in calling him out. And I think the right thing is happening right now. I 100% agree with it.
And I agree. 100%.
I think it's good for Linus. As much as Linus hates that he's going through this right now, I'm sure this is a good thing for him and his business long term to sort this out because they're a family. I want to be clear here. I talked to so many employees when I was at LTX, like so many of them, and not just Colt and stuff, but like I went around and talked to all of them. They love their jobs. Like overall, they are heavily worked and they still want to be there and they still love it. Everybody I talked to was like completely okay with the pace of shit because they like being in there and they're very friendly with each other. And you can tell it's a very family atmosphere, right? They work hard, but they also like play hard, right? It's like, that's kind of the company policy, but they can't move at the pace that they're moving right now, especially with Linus managing everything. Like they need the CEO, they need a management structure that is experienced in handling this level of shit. Well, because Linus, the problem is Linus never wanted to be the full CEO, right? He always wanted to be the guy on camera. It's called Linus Tech Tips, not everybody else's Tech Tips, right? He never, when he started this thing, he never expected to expand it beyond him being on camera. But then it just grew like a motherfucker. It does.
I mean,
Look at Jay. Look at Jay. Yeah. Jay and I came up doing the exact same thing, right? And now Jay has an editor. He has a marketing guy. He has like a camera dude. He has, he has like a studio. At one point, he had 2 studios. I mean, you get to that point where you have to make a decision in your head where you're like, okay, am I going to just keep this a solo operation like I have? Or do I want to grow this to its maximum potential? Because if you can hire an employee, just remember, like for every employee that you have to make 100% of their income in profit for them to be justified being there. You have to basically make double of every employee that you hire. Otherwise, they become a drain to the company once you go through all the bottom line and everything like that. So once you get up to like 100 employees, you're like, shit, if I miss 3 videos in a row, I got to fire a person. I got to fire 2 people. It's like, that's not fun. Like I would never want to be in that place. And that's why I chose never to get an editor and never to get like, camera people. And I mean, a marketing guy, I probably should have got that. Probably would have helped me out a lot early on. But I thought I could do it myself. But again, when things grow to a certain size, it just becomes fucking unmanageable for a single person. So you have to make the decision. Do I want to stay here? Do I want to keep growing? Steve did the same thing. Steve started out, he was just himself in front of the camera, just like the rest of us. Now he's got, $250,000 anechoic chamber going in, all this expensive equipment, hiring, engineers. He has a whole giant fucking studio. That stuff costs money. So if he doesn't sell enough merch, and again, because he refuses to take sponsorships from the companies that he's testing and reviewing, he has to actually make more money selling merch than everybody else to be able to pay for all that stuff. So he's even up against a growth thing where it's like he's growing really fast and he has to be able to make enough revenue to do that. And if he's not careful and he falls short of that revenue, then he has to start laying people off and downsizing the company. And a lot of people don't recover from that. So I feel like Linus is just trying to leave enough of a buffer there, but doing the wrong things, consciously or unconsciously doing the wrong things. And I think that regardless of how this happened, whether it was something personal, partially, but again, Steve backed it up. Again, even if it is personal, it doesn't. Somebody turned off all my lights.
Just wanted to say hi, gents. Houston, Jerry. Always enjoy Tech Talk Saturdays. Jerry, hope you're feeling better, man.
I'm feeling a lot better now.
Today, fight the good fight, man. Love your content. Thank you.
Thank you so much. You guys are bae. We love those super chats. Thank you.
I think what it really all boils down to is, okay, look, they're fixing it. And they are. Honestly, they probably have been working on fixing it since they hired the new CEO guy. It's just troubling that it took this call out and a bit of a hurt to the pocketbook for them to be more transparent, it's troubling to me that multiple employees were on that video saying, "Hey, I'm not proud of my work," and it just says to me that there is a structure there that is not conducive to quality production, and I'm sure that's being worked on and being fixed and stuff. But it's like somebody in the chat here mentioned that, like, oh, Linus has been complaining for months, has been talking for months on when that he really couldn't keep up anymore.
Yeah, and he did say that.
I think that was more of a comment about him like being on video and things like that. But even if we take that as a broader sense, for months, why didn't they slow down a little bit then? I think I don't know what the books look like. I don't know how YouTube like money works and things like that. But like, would it really have made a big difference to revenue? Or I wonder at the effect on revenue if they had just backed up to 20 videos a week or 15 videos a week. Like, I know that they're like, oh, at least a video a day, but it's also like shorts, it's the tech quickies, it's there's like 3 channels and then there's like the clips and things that they got to do and things like that. So it's not just like the long form content. They're producing a lot of content every day. Yeah. And so like, you can come, like, it's a transparency. You can come out and say, hey guys, I know that we've had this cadence for a really long time. My people are burning out. Like, it shocks me to think that video of what it's like to work for Linus and all those people saying, oh man, we work too fast. I'm not proud of my work. That nobody, like, I heard that Linus promised, oh, thanks, I know that I have a job. I can make a small contribution. Thank you. I heard somewhere that Linus like promised not to watch the video so they could get honest like feedback from. But did nobody in management watch that? Did Yvonne not watch it?
Keep in mind, it's all scripted too. So Linus the numbers he's reading on the camera aren't necessarily numbers he knows or even remembers. He's reading them off of what the writers give him.
Like, yeah, I didn't read the script before we started reading this. I'm just, it's just
you're like, oh, Linus, you're a dumbass. You don't know the specs. It's like, dude, he walked onto the set, he read a script, did as many takes as it took to get it right? And if a take gets fucked up, then that's more time they have to do it over again. And then he goes to the next set and does it again, next set does it again. He couldn't do that and a CEO gig at the same time. They grew to the point they were making so much content, he couldn't do that. So the choices were hire a CEO, maintain the cadence, or slow down the cadence and have less revenue coming in the company and be more vulnerable to downsizing if the market turns, which this market turns all the time.
Right. And so it's shocking to me that they had those comments, honest feedback. I don't know how old that video is, but they had that, and it's clear that that's been an issue for a while. And nobody made any changes.
I do want to point out one other thing too that I think people are just really forgetting by watching chat here is that when you're in a company, you have a hierarchy. Same thing at Puget Systems, same thing at Microsoft, you know, big or small, right? Once you get past a certain size of a company, you have a hierarchy. So Linus is ultimately responsible. He's the CEO. He's the owner of the company. He's responsible. That's how it works in this business. Like if I fuck up even as a one employee company, it's my fault. Like I can't pin it on somebody else just because I make them the CEO or I name them as somebody. Companies try to do that all the time. It rarely works in their favor. Keep in mind, though, that you hire people. Like there's no way Linus could oversee the writing, research, specs, everything for 25 videos a week. Like the production, everything. He couldn't. That's why he has 100 employees. So keep in mind that the responsibility is very shared. Even though he has to be the one at the end of the day that takes full responsibility for it. A lot of this drive and creating this video cadence could be his management team doing that because he's hiring them to maximize the production of the company. Because that's what you do. That's the whole point of a for-profit organization is to grow and make more money and to make your investors happy. That's what it is. And I think his goal is at some point to become a traded company or something like that. Like you can tell if he's turning down $100 million offer, like he has aspirations for this thing to grow into like be a fucking TV channel at some point or something.
Monster.
Like, have a satellite in orbit. Like he's shooting for the stars.
Like,
yeah. So just keep this in mind.
A major player for sure.
Keep in mind that there is a big hierarchy there. There are a lot of managers inside of the company, and now a lot of stuff is going to change. But at the end of the day, if you're a company and you can make 25 videos a week, you're going to make 25 videos a week. The only reason you're going to not make 25 videos a week is if you're pushing people so hard that they're quitting and you can't get new people to replace them, and the quality is so bad that people, your audience, are screaming. The majority of their audience is still happy with their content, even when they're wrong, right? Their employees still, for the most part, seem happy, right? Their attrition rate isn't like super duper high among the key employees in the company. So if those two things aren't bad, what is the incentive for them to change? The incentive for them to change now is the public responsibility, because now they're getting shade for the things that are going wrong. The community in turn is now, wait a second, I didn't think about that before. I don't like that the data they're giving me is wrong, right? Because maybe they didn't even consciously realize it before. Now they do. So now that's putting the pressure on them for the management team to go, oh shit, now we're accountable. I'm sure Linus is passing it down too. I'm sure he's in the company meeting going, I hired you to do this. I hired you to do this. I hired you to do this. You were all fucking up. Why? Like he's going to share that responsibility.
The thing is, it has shown up in comments and stuff. The community has pushed back. That's what GN was highlighting. It's
not enough. Not enough.
But not enough. Exactly.
Not enough.
It didn't hurt because it didn't hurt the bottom line.
If somebody messages me on Twitter, if somebody messages me on Twitter and says, "Hey, fat ass, I fucking hate your videos," like I'm not going to change the company. If somebody messages me and says, "Oh, I don't like your 3D printing videos because you don't use like a certain nozzle or you fucking handled that software wrong," I'm like, "Fuck you! You're one out of a million people." If 25% of my audience comes at me and says, "I'm not going to watch your videos anymore because you're a piece of shit," then I have to change. Like obviously, I can't maintain growth if that much of my audience is mad. So the point is the community is mad, but relative to the size of the channel and how many views they're getting across all their videos, it's a piss in the bucket. It's a tiny itty little bit of fart in the wind.
Yeah, nothing.
But that's changing now. That's obviously changing, because I'll tell you right now, they would not be having the new CEO on camera in a video and Yvonne and the owners of the company saying, we're shutting down operations for a week, which is going to cost them millions of dollars. They're hiring an outside company to do an HR review inside of the company, which I'm sure isn't going to just take a week. I saw somebody in chat go, oh, do you think a week's enough? That seems like that's hardly anything. No, the week is just a stop. That's just production stopping. This investigation is going to take months.
That's enough to get conversations started. Like there will not be process changes complete in a week. But they're gonna, I know for a fact, and that's where, like, as unfortunate as it is that it took this sort of a kick in the pants for them to really like make these changes, that sucks. And it's clear that this has been an issue for a long time. Blah 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 blah. That all sucks. It is also very, very obvious. And I'm not going to touch on the Madison stuff or any of that, or what kind of a culture they have inside of their company.
We don't know enough about it, but he's handling it the right way.
Just the GN stuff, just the inaccuracy stuff, just the because the Billet Labs thing to me is a symptom of the process problems and the structure of how communication works. So it's all process stuff. It's all process problems. I genuinely think that they are going to make changes. I do think that they are going to come out of this better. I think we're going to see better quality content all around, whether it's entertainment or data driven. And I think overall it'll be good. LTT is dead. No,
not by a long shot.
No, it's too big. It's not too big to fail, but it's too big for something like this to bring them down to dust.
I want to remind everybody. So let me remind everybody really quick how many different drama controversies Linus has been through over the years. If you go back and look, this is a fart in the wind Naomi, compared to shit.
Yep. Like that big thing with Naomi and
Linus was straight up accused of like sexual impropriety towards another like female YouTuber, and it like fucking blew up, and the whole internet was siding with Naomi and shit, even though she lied.
Which, man, well, I don't think it was an intentional lie. I think it genuinely was a misinterpretation of the phrasing.
100% you're wrong. You're and I'll tell you why you're wrong is because one, she was my friend for years. I talked to her, we DM'd everything. I actually went and did the research on her to figure out what was going on with this. And I even talked to the people that I know that are mutual friends that are close to her. No, she lied her ass off. She knew what she was doing. She knew that she was wrong. She was just mad. She was mad she didn't get what she wanted, and she decided that was the best time to draw blood. You ever notice that whenever Linus gets attacked publicly, it always comes in twos? Always. Right? It doesn't matter. Like the trust me bro thing with the backpack. I can't remember what the other thing was. Maybe no, that was the Naomi thing. That's right. That was the Naomi thing that came out right alongside that. It was around the same time, it's whenever they bleed, whenever you draw a drop of blood from Linus, the other people come out of the woodwork to try to attach themselves and do collateral damage. Now, that collateral damage is sometimes justified. If it turns out that Madison's arguments are right and somebody inside the company was saying those horrible fucking things to her, well, this outside investigation is going to find that person, and I guarantee you that person will be fired because they're a liability to the company.
I wonder how that's even going to go, because like it's going to be really, really hard to corroborate like comments, right? Like if I'm editing a video and the boss comes by and says, "Oh man, your work is dog shit, you fucking incompetent motherfucker," how are they going to prove that? Like how, like it's unless it's like on the security cameras and they still get like, you know, I think it's going to be very difficult to corroborate some of this stuff. But again, I don't want to, because like, man, these sorts of allegations and stuff, this is definitely,
dude, it has to be investigated though. Like there's no, regardless, you have to try.
It has to be investigated, but from the outside and stuff, it's difficult to make comment. And
is there anything else that you would do though that Linus isn't doing by hiring an external company to do the investigation?
No, look, I think Linus's initial response on the forum was bad. Everything since then is exactly what I would expect from a large company. I think people are unfair tearing into them for having a scripted like response where all these management people are reading off a teleprompter. What else are they supposed to do?
Like, I think that's another reason why Linus hired a CEO is because he needed somebody who knows how to handle these things tactfully.
Right. A big part of the problem is that they were just being laissez-faire with the data and stuff. So like, of course they're going to come out with like, okay, this is what I want to say. I'm going to write this down. I'm going to go over it a few times. I'm going to make sure that this is accurate and that I'm not making any promises that we can't keep.
It sounds like they have internal processes that weren't being adhered to.
It gets, honestly, it sounds like they need to scrub everything and start fresh, brand new documentation, a whole big book of everything. But I think again, the initial response, Linus should have kept his mouth shut. It's not his place anymore to make those sorts of statements.
That's always been the case.
without checking with somebody, in my opinion, it feels very, very Elon Musky, right? He's not the CEO of X anymore. Why is he making weird comments about
like, what all it does is serve to hurt the company.
Yeah. So
now, to be fair, Linus has called himself out every time. Like, remember the trust me bro thing where he was like, he always says that he's very emotional. He said he's very emotional when he gets attacked on stuff like that because he sees the whole company as like, you know, it's his baby, it's his family, right? It's like, so when it attacked, his knee-jerk reaction is just to say, like, to defend it at all costs, right? And so it's hard for him to be objective. It's really hard to be objective. Just like you, like if somebody came and said, hey, your kid was, it was like fucking selling drugs behind the mini mart or whatever, be like, no, he's not like that. My kid wouldn't fucking do that. Like, you're not going to be objective as a parent and be like, I wonder if he is selling drugs. I'm going to go look through his shit. Like, you're going to try to defend him, right? I feel like when you're that close to a company, especially when you're not just a CEO that's being hired to run the company, you literally own the fucking thing. You're not going to be objective. You're always going to be like, I'm going to protect everybody and my people and my baby at all costs. And that's why you need to hire a CEO that is paid to be the CEO and does have benefits and a package so that he can be that and be like, you know what? My job is to protect the company, but to do it tactfully.
Yeah. Even in my position now, I'm caught even not just for pugilisms or whatever, but even my own personal like brand. I know that I can get emotional. You guys don't get me started. I have rants and stuff. I get emotional and things. But even when I'm in the midst of an emotional thing, I try to hedge. I try to because I know that I'm emotional. I know the effect that my words can have on my own reputation and on the reputation of the people that I associate with. And so, dude, I can't tell you how many times I've gone on Twitter, typed out a spicy response, and then thought to myself, what's the point? Like, I'm just gonna end up either putting my foot in my mouth or just saying something. It isn't worth the argument a lot of the time. And so whatever. Linus's initial response, terrible. The video that came out afterward explaining here, this is what we're gonna do and all that stuff,
much better.
Was fine. It's what I expect. That should have been the initial response.
And yet there was still some people that were mad because they were they thought some of the jokes in it were lighthearted, and some of the things that some of the people said was a little over. Yeah,
super inappropriate. You shouldn't have been making jokes about LTT store. You shouldn't have been plugging merch or sponsor at the end of the thing. It should have been a cut and dry, boring corpo response. And if you take out those bits, it was good. There's bullet points.
Yeah,
a checklist of shit that they're gonna do.
Didn't they say the video wasn't monetized too, but then they sold merch in it?
It was, I think it was initially monetized, and then they turned the monetization off. But still,
it was Steve. It was Steve that said the video wasn't monetized. Steve said his expose wasn't monetized because he didn't want to make any money from by exposing this.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So the takeaways after talking about this, here, no, go ahead. Say your final bit because I want to do a TLDR and then move on to AI.
Yeah, we're done.
Okay. Go for it.
Yeah, I think I've said everything. It all boils down to it's clear to me, at least, there's been a pattern of willful ignorance, not ignorance, but willful ignoring of the issues that were highlighted in GN's video. I think it's unfortunate that it took something like that for them to genuinely want to make these changes. Because hiring a CEO and stuff, but all
stuff gets lost in the noise.
When Linus was CEO, all of the stuff that was highlighted happened when Linus was CEO. So it's clear to me that he didn't care enough to make the changes even before bringing on a new CEO. They clearly, even before this, with the new CEO, they were making changes. Now that they've come out and said, "Hey, look, we are really
they're going to happen much faster now,"
publicly saying, which I think would have been okay in the past. They say, "Hey, we're going to cut back on our video production because of the new guy," and so that he can kind of get caught up, and that kind of thing. I think Linus's initial response was terrible. I think the video coming out explaining what they're going to do about everything, it was good, was fine, and I think they're going to come out of it okay. I think we're going to see a better LTT after this.
I believe so too. I think that's fair,
and I don't think there's any malice. I don't think there's I can't see Linus being the evil corpo CEO where I'm gonna push this because all I care about is money. I think it's I think
he wears multiple hats, but he's been a good guy to me when he didn't have to be.
Yeah,
he took time for me when he didn't have to be.
Machine work to keep the machine running. And I think and that's it.
Yeah, I just want people to know that I see a side of Linus and a lot of other people that know him personally in real life see a side of him that other people don't, right? And because he doesn't do a really good job online portraying the very nice, generous, stereotypical Canadian, right? that I see whenever I've ever talked to him, right? And I feel it's kind of unfortunate that people don't get to see the same thing that I see, but just realize a couple of things that I would like people to take away from this as they watch this investigation, this change moving forward. Because I think, yes, there needs to be accountability. Yes, they need to change. But the few things I want people to think about that I'm not seeing many people think about is, one, Linus Tech Tips is under attack every single day. There's not a single video that they make. There's not a single thing they do where the forums aren't blown up or the comments aren't blown up, tell them they fucked up something or they're wrong about something or they don't like it or they think they're stupid or get rid of them. I remember when he handled the whole situation with Emily. You know, so you didn't hear about that? So an employee, Anthony came out as transgender. One of their people that did a lot of videos or whatever. Really, really intelligent person came out. Now they're Emily. And they chose to step down. They didn't want to be in front of the camera anymore right now during their transition. Well, and Linus completely respected that. They're still a writer. They're still on the team. I even talked to them at Linus Tech Tips Expo for a good long time. And they've been very, very happy with how Linus handled it, even though, you know, it's like been so visceral in some areas and really good in others, right? Supportive. But Linus took a hard stance on that. It's like, I'm going to stand behind my employees and I'm going to stand behind my friends. Like, I'm going to defend everything at all costs. I thought that was amazing that he did that. But just keep in mind, there's a lot of people like, oh, Linus Tech Tips is over, blah, blah. If they don't fire, you know, her immediately, they're never going to recover from this. Because that's what everybody says. You see chat here, everybody's like, oh, they're going to die. They're dead now. That's going to kill. No, it's not. It's not. Just keep in mind, it's like the small, what do they call it? The silent majority, or no, the loud minority, right? It's like, it looks like, but they're always under attack. Linus Media Group has always been under attack from as long as I can remember for one reason or another. There's people that just outright hate him and want them to fail. Yeah. Keep in mind that also makes it hard for them to see when there's something that actually does need to change, because they're so normalized to the hate coming in that it's hard to pick out the stuff unless it grows and boils up to a level, which is what like Steve's video did in this case, right? Unless it boils up to a video where it comes out of the just everybody with their pitchforks. Oh, I hate Linus for whatever reason. I'm going to try to find a new reason today. It has to rise above that level to get any attention. And this time it did. And it rose above that level big. And a lot of that has to do with the association of Steve and Linus over the last couple of years and them collaborating on things. People that know Linus know Steve. People that know Steve know Linus. Steve was the right person to get the attention on this. Yeah, I think for sure. Now, when it rains, it pours. This always happens. Like I said, things come in two, right? So Madison chose this time to air her grievance also because because they were under attack, or maybe it was vice versa. I can't remember who came forward first, but I want to say it was Steve, and then I think Madison came a couple hours after that. Yeah. But it's when the same thing happened with Naomi and with the backpack thing, the trust me, bro. Right. This is always going to happen. Whenever there is something that is forcing attention, then other people are going to jump on board because now they can actually get attention instead of just getting ignored, right? Which in this case, if it ends up being true, that's a good thing. Like, that's really good for Madison. That's good for the other people at the company that are being harassed if this outside company comes in and investigates and finds wrongdoing. And the other thing is, somebody in chat said, oh, Linus is paying for it, so it's not really objective. No. These companies that you hire, when you hire an HR firm to come in, they pride themselves on having success finding the aggressors and getting them worked out of the companies. That's how they show companies that they have value. That's like what you're paying them to come and do. You go ahead. You don't want to pay a company to come in and say, oh, everything's squeaky clean and there's no problems, because everybody's going to see right through that and say that's bullshit, right? There's always going to be some problem in the company or some improvement that needs to be done. So those companies are going to be hypersensitive and want to report as much as humanly possible to give the value for their service so that they get another customer. So I don't think you're going to see this company coming in, like, try to protect them and be like, oh, they're paying for the investigation, unless there's some background affiliation, like, unless there's something going on in the background that you don't know about. What's up? I'll be right back. Yeah, go for it, dude.
Just a quick minute.
Yeah, no worries. So I think that was the right move. I do think that now, after shutting down production for a week to try to sort things out, a week isn't going to fix everything, not by a long shot. But I hope that at the end of that week, they back off production from 25 videos to like maybe 20 videos, and that they maybe put some new processes in place to allow the employees to have a better quality of life and an easier way talking to each other and doing things. Because here's another problem I want to point out with companies in general. This doesn't just apply to Linus Media Group. This also applied when I worked at Microsoft. And that is, when you work at a company, you are given a deliverable. That's at any point you have a deliverable, right? It's like, my deliverable today may be that I have to do an update to the infrastructure. Well, the problem is I have to wait on the developer to make a change before I can integrate my change, before I can then publish that. If I'm waiting on this guy for him to finish because my work is contingent on him, and I don't make my deadline, I failed and I get in trouble for it, even though it was that person's fault. So what I have to do in some cases is make the hard decision to publish without that person's change and say they didn't provide me the information in time for me to comfortably do it, so that I know that I could finish within the time that I thought I could do it, instead of waiting for it. So because of that, you're going to have things lost no matter what, right? Like he said that, who was it that said that they were doing the testing, but the testing wasn't getting into the videos? Yeah, they're doing the work. Like, they have a team that is like going and plugging the things in and doing the things and getting the numbers and putting them in the spreadsheet and uploading them to the server. But then the editing team's like, shit, I got to make 20 videos today, so I can't be waiting for this data to come in. Or maybe the data's there and they don't even check because they're so fucking stressed and they got to get to the next thing to hit their deadline so they don't get in trouble that day. This shit is being missed. And that's what they got to figure out. They got to fix the system so that accountability is on the person that's holding things up. The workload isn't so bad that they don't have any buffer built in for mistakes. They have to assume that mistakes will happen and build in buffer time for that. And if that buffer time gets lost, reallocate it to something else at the end of a period, right? If you have 20 videos that come out perfectly and you didn't have to use any of the hour time that you allocated to each video for mistakes to happen and for failover, then you can take that time and be like, hey, morale event, we all did a great job or whatever, so we're going to take a day off and go bowling or whatever to eat it up and reset it, right? Or you add that time so that there's now more time in the future to correct instead of just eating it up. So there's ways that James, that's right, it was James that did that. So there's a way that you can do this properly, but just keep in mind that does cost money. Everything costs money. And when you own a business, that's something you have to be really cognizant of. And I suck at because I'm a one-man business, right? And I'm terrible at it. Don't listen to me for any business advice. I'm terrible. But I do observe a lot of other people and how other businesses work and how my business should work if I was to hire the people and do the things that everybody else is doing. But when you have employees, you have to keep them employed. You have to keep them happy. You have to keep them, because if you start downsizing, you start firing people, other people leave. That's another thing people don't realize. Like if you fire half of your workforce, like when Microsoft laid off everybody in 2015, another like 20% of the employees just left of their own accord because they thought, shit, if they can lay off half the company, I'm probably next. So people will just start leaving and then you can't recover from that. Like, so they try to do everything they can to keep their employees. Every company does. Once you get to a certain size. And if you don't have the revenue to keep those employees, you have to find that revenue somewhere. And sometimes finding that revenue means cutting corners and not doing things the right way. So I would say give them time to correct. But if there's no change and the shit keeps happening and it seems like nothing has changed, same course, same cadence, same number of employees, nothing's changed, same mistakes are happening, then the community will have to hold them accountable. But I will tell you right now that if the community that holds them accountable is only a very small percentage that doesn't affect their bottom line, they're probably not going to care about it. Because at the other side of things, if I correct for the 1% and my company loses 10% of its revenue potential, what did I achieve as a CEO? I made 1% of people happy that weren't even making me the money in the first place at the cost of 10% of the people that never cared.
It's the MMO problem. I've this has been at least amongst friends and stuff. Is you'll be playing an MMO, right? Fucking EverQuest, World of Warcraft, whatever. And the people who love a game tend, like, you see it everywhere, whether it's a restaurant or whatever, Yelp reviews, whatever. The people who like a thing tend not to say anything. They don't leave reviews, right? Generally, the satisfied customer tends not to say anything. They're just, or they keep it to their inner circles and stuff. They don't publicize, oh man, this fucking place was great. The complainers, the people who are dissatisfied, tend to complain. And
the loud minority.
MMOs, oh man, this is unfair, this doesn't work, blah blah blah. And so they'll make changes to the game or whatever to appease the people who are complaining because they think that that's what everybody thinks. And that's not.
There we go.
That's not the case. And so you're right. You have to focus on the satisfied customer. Or when you do listen to negative feedback, is this person complaining about a thing that our core our target market genuinely cares about? Or is this as an example, if Puget Systems got a negative review that somebody bought a PC for gaming and they're like, oh, it didn't come with lights, or this motherboard isn't flashy enough, or how come it didn't come with tempered glass side panel. That's not the target market, so they're not going to make the change to appease that person,
right?
And so that's what you have to ask yourself: is this complaint is this complaint coming from someone who represents the people that I want purchasing from me or consuming my content? Well, I mean, you're all customers consuming content, and then you start asking yourself, now does it make sense to make that change?
So I'm making a point right now by changing my microphone volume. I wanted to see this in chat.
There's one. Oh yeah.
So I was trying to get the point that the no matter what you do, people are going to complain. And so I turned my volume up and then I turned my volume down. And in chat, one person's like, oh, you sound great. The other person's like, you're too loud. And the other person's like, oh, you're too quiet. The other person's like, no, that's perfect. So it's like, no matter what you do, there's always going to be people that don't like it. You just have to make sure that it's at a threshold, that it is a large enough majority of your audience that warrants the change. Because if you change for the 1%, you fuck everybody else over. And a great example is like the conscious decision I made, like with politics. When I talked about politics on Twitter, look how many fucking followers. I lost 100,000 subscribers on YouTube. I lost 10% of my audience because but they felt like they were alienated because I didn't agree with them. Even though the content that I made had nothing to do with it, it was on a different platform, speaking my mind. It didn't matter. People were like, hey, my morals say I can't watch this guy's content because he doesn't believe in, what I believe in. And if I didn't talk about that at all, then nobody would care. However, that's not necessarily true, because if I don't talk about it, then you have people that are like, this is really important and you're avoiding it. You're not talking about it. So I can't, I'm not going to trust you more, and they leave. But if that group is smaller than the other group, business says you go with the one that benefits you the most. I don't though. I go with the one that benefits me emotionally, which is, again, just like with Linus, it kind of fucks you in the end, because the knee-jerk reaction is going to hurt you more in the long run. And it does. It absolutely does.
That's something, especially if we're on a smaller scale like you or me, where there's a sort of the parasocial relationship that you and I have with the audience. There's a line to be drawn where, like, I don't like to discuss my personal feelings on certain things because that's too close, right? It's too close to my circles of influence or whatever, and it's inappropriate, in my opinion. It's inappropriate for me to share that with the broader circle, right? And that's where, like, man, I've typed out some comments on Twitter and then deleted them because it's like, this ain't my fight. This isn't where this isn't the thing that I want to be commenting on, despite how I might feel. Because that's 100% me. And then I'll talk to my wife about it or something. Man, this fucking guy on Twitter, I almost roasted his ass, but that's not. I don't want to get into the back and forth about it. Actually, some of y'all posted in in our private Signal thing. I don't know if they'd be here in the chat. You saw that screenshot of me getting, the beard has spoken, and that kind of stuff crosses my mind all the time. It's like, man, do I want to be? Is this the kind of controversy that I want to really be involved in beyond like?
It's easy to get involved. It's hard to extricate yourself.
Yeah, and then, man, I even considered like deleting one of the, because I said, hey, I work for a small company that's grown quickly, and it's a leadership thing, and I'm like, should I delete that? Because I know there's people out there who know that I work for Puget Systems, and I don't want backlash to come on Puget Systems. But nothing I said was untrue, was not factual. Like, I think I would be comfortable defending my statements in front of everyone to the top. Like, because I'll admit I've gotten in trouble for some of the things that I have said publicly.
I did when I worked at Microsoft.
And so I am very, very cautious about the comments I make on Twitter and things like that, regardless of the account that I'm using. And so, but I think I didn't go too far in any of my statements. I think what I said was true. I think I'm nothing that I didn't say here. And so, yeah.
I got in trouble when I worked at Microsoft. Like, quite a few times, actually, because I made a Facebook post and somebody who was following me that I thought was a friend was like a double agent, and they had, somebody following them that could see my post or whatever because of a friend. And they decided to call Microsoft's HR department, like, try to cause a big stink out of it. And they're like, you should fire this employee for talking shit about Xbox Live or whatever, because they also worked for Microsoft and they thought it was disrespectful. So they sent it out there, and I got to talking to my manager. Had to come talk to me. He's like, yeah, I know. I agree with everything you say, but as your manager, I have to come talk to you. So blah, blah, blah. I talked to you. You're good. Right. But when I saw the email that was sent to him, it was like, some from the head of Xbox or whatever, keep your guy in his lane and let him know his place. He's not, if he has opinions, he can fucking air those inside of the company. He doesn't need to publicly, air those grievances. Remind him of where his place is. I was getting that all the time. And so it's, it's unfortunate, but, companies can be petty about stuff like that. But the other thing, too, is they don't want their image to be changed or determined by an employee. They want to be the ones to bring the message and decide if the message has value or not for the company. They hire people for that. When everybody else just has their own opinions of the company that they work for, that becomes a conflict of interest. Because then you have people online like, I was like, oh yeah, Microsoft, this fucking bug in Internet Explorer that they won't fix and it's absolutely terrible or whatever. And if you start saying that shit publicly, then people are going to go start attacking Microsoft. Why aren't you guys fixing this, blah, blah, blah? And it could become a big thing and be on the front of a newspaper or something. Remember, they used to tell us too, like when we went to lunch, we actually had a thing in our NDA that said, even when we go to eat lunch, we cannot discuss any sensitive topics in public even quietly to each other at a booth in public, because they said there's reporters everywhere that just go sit down and people that'll just like sit there and just record, quietly or whatever, and then publish that shit online for clout or try to sell it to a newspaper.
No doubt.
And that happened all the time. There's two guys that were just sitting at a fucking like bar, just having a casual conversation about some internal workings at the company. And like some dude sitting next to him recorded the whole conversation on his phone, sitting on the counter. He sold it to like the Washington Post. It blew up as a global story. It actually hurt the fucking value of the company because of two dudes just like talking casually in a bar about stuff that doesn't affect anybody that doesn't know about it outside of the company. But it creates an opinion. So you have to be careful about stuff like that. And I'm sure same thing with Linus. Like even what I've heard, again, like the whole Madison situation is that she was streaming and apparently they were trying to like rein her back on what she could do on her stream because she's pretty hardcore. Like if you've seen her streams, she goes hard. Like she doesn't hold shit back. She'll say anything. Right. And so when you work at a company, when you work at a company, they're going to try to hold you back on stuff like that. They're not going to be like, hey, like if I did my live stream, could you imagine? Could you imagine if I worked at Microsoft today and I did my Twitch stream the way I do it? Like, hey, all you motherfuckers, blah, 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 blah. Oh, man, I just went and jerked off or whatever. Say something stupid like that. Like, Microsoft would be like, you're fired. Like, you're fucking gone. Like we cannot, we're embarrassed to have an employee publicly that says shit like that. It's the same thing for any company. You sign an NDA, just like you said, like you are restricted on the things that you could say. If you did not work at Puget Systems, you could say a lot of things that you can't actually say. That's the price of employment, right? You sign a contract saying that you're going to be held to those terms. And so I think in some cases, and this happens, I'm sure with Linus a lot actually, is that you hire an employee, you put them in front of the camera, their own personal stream and their own social media blows up by proxy, right? Because they're like, now they see you, you're being discovered. You blow up and then you're like, wait, I can make a lot more money doing my own thing than working for that company. And if that's the case, leave. Fucking go do that. Like that's the right decision to make.
I've heard. I don't know if we're still on the whole Linus topic or not. Like, but
this is a little different. We're just talking about business in general now.
You had mentioned Madison and not being in front of the TV, and in relation to that, I've seen some other comments about like people maybe becoming too popular on LTT videos and stuff, and then being pulled back or whatnot. But it's like. I feel like that's really, regardless of whether there's that line at LTT or wherever, I feel like that's super disingenuous, in particular for LTT, because that's exactly how he got his start. He was making videos for NCIX, got wicked popular. Those videos got wicked popular. He quit and started doing his own thing.
100%.
And so to try and stop someone else from doing that is super hypocritical.
No, but to be fair, I don't think they're trying to stop them from doing it. They just don't want them to be an agent of the company while they're doing it that way. Like all the Linus employees, I think, are allowed to have their own streams. They just don't want them like talking shit about Linus Media Group or their processes or airing grievances on their live stream. And so they put certain rules on like what they can stream about in that. And they don't want them going after their sponsors. Like if you're sponsored by Intel, like if I was working at Microsoft and I was like, every one of my live streams was like, fuck Microsoft, you should run Linux. Like, did you know Microsoft Windows sucks? You should run Linux. Microsoft would be like, why the fuck are we employing you? Like you're using your platform that we gave you to go and trash us. Like that's not right. However, if they leave, that should be the end of it. Like if they leave and they quit, they are no longer bound by that fucking contract. Like they need to be able to do whatever the fuck they want at that point.
I mean, I think you can hold somebody to a certain level.
NDAs you can.
I've in the past, like I'm not allowed to go. Like I think I'm technically restricted from working for another system integrator for X number of years or something.
You can actually defeat that. That's a common clause.
They tend to be fairly shaky and stuff.
Yeah, like, in Washington, you can defeat that all day long.
But I get it, and it makes sense. Like, okay, look, if you're gonna quit, it would be bad. We would take umbrage with you speaking ill of the company right after that kind of stuff. But like, if you sign a contract that says that you will not share proprietary information if you leave the company for like 3 years, they have to put a period of time. It can't be for life. Right. But if it says you can't share any of your knowledge that you had on proprietary things inside the company for a course of 3 years, then you have to do that because they could sue you, because if you gave that to a competitor, the competitor would now have an unfair advantage. But can you not work for them? No, you can absolutely work for them. You just have to excuse yourself from that situation and say, as a term of hiring me, don't expect that I'm going to give you this. Yeah. However, in reality, everybody poached all the Microsoft employees and they all sung like birds, and those companies got unfair advantage. And come on. Good luck trying to get that in court, man. Like it's really hard to prove. Like there's a good example with this game called Dark and Darker, of a bunch of ex Nexon employees like left and decided to make their own game, and now Nexon is suing them, saying that they like took assets and code and blah blah blah. Because like Nexon, they were working on a game that I guess was similar to this, and then they scrubbed it, and so like a team left and decided, wait, fuck it, we're gonna make it on our own then. And so now they're like in some legal trouble in Korea. They're like fighting over it and stuff. Like that's dumb. To like,
if they actually
stole code or actual assets, yes, that is wrong. That is stealing of intellectual property. But to say if I'm internal, perfect example. I work for a company who builds workstations for a particular target audience. If I say to John, hey man, we should totally get into fucking gaming computers. Yeah. And John's like, no, I don't want to do that. Well, and if I quit and I start making my own gaming computers using what I've learned at Puget Systems, like, what am I supposed to do? I've learned good things. I've learned good processes working for this company. It's no different than fucking Kevin from Origin used to work for Alienware. Didn't like what they were doing or whatever. There was something about Alienware that he didn't want to do anymore. So he went off and made his own gaming PC company. There's no way that he didn't take some of what he learned while working for Alienware and apply that to his new company. Is that stealing intellectual property?
There is a fine line there. So like for instance, there's a thing in Washington called an anti-compete.
Yeah.
So an anti-compete would be like if you left, just as an example, if you went to Puget Systems and they showed you something that wasn't publicly acquirable, meaning that they have like a secret that they know that none of their competitors have that give them an advantage, right? Like a recipe for a cookie or whatever. And you decide to quit, and then you go form a cookie company, and you make a cookie that's not exactly like their cookie, but you use that proprietary knowledge in some way or form to give you that unfair advantage, then they can sue you because they hired you and had you sign an agreement saying, we're going to teach you the recipe, but you can never show anybody else that recipe, and you can't create your own recipe using anything gathered from ours. Like you can't use any of the proprietary information. They have to do that because otherwise everybody would just like, hire a company and they're like, oh yeah, this is our secret sauce. And then you just be like, fuck y'all, go write your own code, hire a team to do it. And then you're a competitor, right? So, but the anti-compete agreement is very, very specific. Like it can't be broad. It has to be well defined. Like Microsoft has to say, listen, you are saying that you will not divulge specific code secrets. And for it to be a secret, it has to be something that nobody else has done in the world. Like it has to be something that only they do that nobody else outside of the company knows about. That would be considered protected if you left. But if they're like, oh, yeah, you can't go write your own video drivers or you can't go create your own gaming PCs. No, fuck you. Those components are available to everybody and anybody has the knowledge to build those. Therefore, there's nothing proprietary about it.
I suppose that might not have been the best example of mine because I'm then targeting a completely different market, right? So I'm not even really competing.
Right. So you wouldn't even be competing.
So the process, if I use the same process to build those PCs, that's not really the same.
Like I think for your analogy, the better way would be like you decide to quit and go build scientific PCs and you start targeting their customers that you learned about while you were there in those relationships. And you were like laser cutting parts that were similar to theirs to like do the secret sauce in the PC and like the soundproofing stuff. Yeah. If you copied that verbatim, then they'd probably have a lawsuit. But like you said, you're making gaming computers. That's not a market that they really like play in officially. And the other thing is like the systems that you're building, it's your craftsmanship, right? In your current role there, you're not building computers anymore. So realistically, it's like you're just getting off the shelf components and you using your artistic, abilities to put it together.
Even the process I learned as a builder isn't the process anymore. So like, it's none of that. That was somewhat of a poor example, but I think it fit.
Like imagine if they had a custom firmware they were putting on the graphics card that gave them like a 10% increase in performance on scientific like computing, and you were like, I'm gonna go create my own business that also has that same exact margin of computing. Then they're probably gonna be like, we're gonna call bullshit on that. Right. And then there's also but you can poach people like all the time. Like people got poached from Microsoft all the time, and they call me like, hey, we'll pay you 30% more. They fucking put in their 2 weeks, go to Google, and they're literally doing the same thing at Google they did at Microsoft, and Google legal just looks at Microsoft and goes, try to sue us. Try to enforce the anti-compete. You can't because we're not asking them to give us your source code. We're even specifically not asking them to give us the source code. We're just asking them to write new source code. And because we're a different platform, we're not Windows, we're Linux. Because we're a different platform, then their proprietary knowledge in the kernel or whatever doesn't apply here. So, right. and they'll defend those agreements, and especially for like CEOs, like that happens all the time, where a company will poach a CEO from another company, and then they try to sue them because they're like they lose market share because that CEO went to another company, and it's like, yes, they do have a lot of proprietary knowledge on how that company runs, but as long as they don't go to the other company and that company immediately starts doing the same exact things that the other company was doing, there's really no grounds to like legal grounds to attack them. And plus they can also air grievances, right? They can say, listen, I left because it was a hostile work environment and stuff, and you can't expect me to work in a hostile environment, or they're paying me 30% less than what the other company was willing to pay me. So could you reasonably expect me to not take a job in my field of expertise that pays me 30% more when the company can literally fire you for any reason at any time? That doesn't seem fair, right? So they're it depends, and they can sue you. I mean, you can sue anybody for anything. I could sue you right now just because I don't like the way your beard looks or something, but I do think it's majestic. But you can sue anybody. Yeah, but whether or not it goes to court is another thing, right? As long as you got money, you can sue anybody for absolutely anything. It's absolutely crazy. Here, I gotta take a pee really quick, and then we're gonna talk about AI. Let's do a deep dive into that, because I've been doing some crazy shit,
dude. It's super fun. Yeah, man. Quick, 10-second AMA. Go. I still hear you. Don't get me started. He says, I still hear you. What's up? Hey, what up, Tim? Where's Waldo Harry Potter wand? What? Man, this tactical guy is just like saying words. Just words. All words are made up. Sounds like you're chaotic neutral. I would say more chaotic good. Not quite chaotic neutral. I feel I identify as chaotic good. Because like I will totally break a stupid rule or whatever for the betterment of myself or others. Fuck this. Holy shit. Oh damn. Need a hand?
Oh, that's not good. Come back to an empty seat. What's going on? Somebody try to break into this house again? Oh, there he is. Dude, I came back and you were like gone. I was like, what the fuck happened?
There was just a loud bang.
All right, so now that we're off all the business. Hey, by the way, 348 people. That's quite a few viewers today. Nice. Meat Puppet, thank you for the $5 super chat, by the way. He said, I miss the days where people are mature enough to agree to disagree agreeably. Then we have different opinion views. Things change. There's ebb and flow.
Yeah, there's some things that you can agree to disagree on, and then there's some things that you can't.
That's absolutely true, and that's exactly how I'd say it.
And I do think that there are times where people take a hard line on things that maybe like they shouldn't, or to take to an extreme, But,
no, I agree, and I've crossed that line myself before, where I've come back later and regretted the things that I said, because I'm like, was it really worth the loss? Yeah. Like, was it worth the stress? And I think that's like a good book is The Art of Not Giving a Fuck. Dude. Oh, yeah, everybody should read that book. Like I reread it every couple of years. I should reread it every month at my rate. But it's great. It basically teaches you how you only have so much attention that you can give to things, right? Like physical attention and emotional attention that you can give to things. And you have to basically do a cost benefit analysis on everything and say, listen, am I really willing to take on this fight and interject myself into it and give fucks about it? That's what your fucks are. And by giving those fucks, you are committing yourself to giving more fucks by pushing that first button or doing that first thing. Is that worth it in the end? Do that cost benefit analysis before you push the button, instead of letting your emotions sign you up for something you can't get out of. So, because like once you make your opinion known, you can't really, even if you just come back and say you tweet, oh, I didn't mean what I said, half of the people that saw it or more won't see the retraction ever. No matter how many times you post it, they'll never see it because they unfollowed you or they banned you, and they're going to keep perpetuating that thing and keep thinking of you in that same way. So you have to think about that, not just online, but also in person with people. Does this warrant the fucks? Like again, agree to disagree on certain things. However, there are things that definitely are worth your fucks. Like, for instance, like you wouldn't want a friend who's like, a child molester or a murderer or something, right? Like, so you're not going to be like, I'll agree to disagree that you like to, go throw hookers and dumpsters on the weekends or whatever. No, there's certain things, obviously, and people are going to have different thresholds between that and maybe like political or religious views or something like that. It just depends on the person. But again, ask yourself, before you do it, am I willing to take the damage from this and continuously invest this minimal amount of fucks? If I only have 100 fucks and this thing that I'm about to throw myself into takes 50% of those fucks, what could I use those 50% of fucks on that would have benefited me more? Yeah. And because you don't have nobody has an infinite number of fucks, you have to be very, very careful about what you invest them in. So it's a really great book. I highly recommend it. I think it's cheap. It's on Amazon. Use my affiliate link. Go to my store and use my affiliate link and buy that thing.
That one, and I know you enjoyed this one too, but Unfuck Yourself.
Yes, I got that one too.
And that's one that I need to reread again, because that I did try to apply some of that. Like the very first one is like, are you willing? Yeah. Or are you not? Right? Am I willing or am I unwilling?
Yeah, don't fuck around. Like, ask yourself that question blatantly in the beginning
and be honest. Am I willing? Am I willing to? And it kind of ties to, like you were saying, am I willing to give a fuck?
Yep.
Or am I not? And if I'm not, then that's okay. Let it go.
You know what my favorite thing in that book is the exercise of speaking things out loud to yourself when you're just by yourself.
Oh, yeah.
So the book tells you that, like, by speaking things, that you interpret them in a completely different way than in your mind.
100%.
This is why people say stuff, and then after they say it, that didn't sound as good as when it was in my head, right? So I did this every time I read the book. I did this, and it always was advantageous. Like, I'd sit here, and before I did a tweet, I would actually say it out loud and see how fucking pompous it sounded. And in my head, I'm like, oh no, this is a legitimate criticism. Like, this is no big deal, right? But then I'd say it out loud, and I'd be like, fuck, like that sounds terrible. Yeah, writing is good.
Can help. And like I've mentioned this to my lady before, that like, man, sometimes we'll have like a little spat, and like I'll be driving, and I'll be mad, I'll be yelling and blah blah blah, like pretending like I'm arguing with her, blah blah blah, and it helps me to process it. It helps me to really make sense of, like, is this, like, because I know sometimes the emotions are bigger than the actual problem.
Yes,
right?
They amplify it.
And it's the feelings that I'm feeling are inappropriately big in comparison to the problem.
Yeah.
And if I were to say all of those things that I am saying by myself, it would be bad. There's no taking that back if I'd say it to her directly. And I know that that's not, like, man, because the emotion, man, the emotion is the reaction, not a response, right? And there's a difference. And the reaction isn't, there's some saying about, like, how, like, your first opinion is like what was, like, built into you as a kid or whatever, and then, like, your second opinion is what you've, like, learned as you're now older and stuff.
Yeah, it's intellect versus instinct. So your first one is your instinct, your second one is your intellect.
And so that's why I do that. Like, but it helps me to get the nuggets of truth out, the real genuine, like, this is really what bothers me. It's not just the emotional part of it, but it is these facts or I would say truths, because truth is more of a matter of perspective versus fact. And so the truths of my feelings, so that I can then say, okay, look, this is how I feel when this happens, and why. Maybe it's not always a why, but, like, it's really good. It's a really good practice to either say it out loud to yourself or write it all down and things like that. And then you can really get past, like, some of the emotional lizard brain stuff and really get to the core of stuff.
In therapy, I also remember learning that writing things down commit it to memory more than speaking it aloud or just thinking 100%. Of it internally. So
100%.
So if something is important to you, you should sit down and write it down or type it out and physically look at it and read it out loud. If you do those things, you'll commit it to memory whether you want to or not. Like, the next time you're thinking about it, it'll pop and be much clearer. So I do that. Like, it's kind of like, you want to remember a phone number or something like that. You put it into your phone, you type it out, and then you read it. And then after the third time you read it, all of a sudden you can remember it 10 days later. It's the same thing. It's just how your memory works, right? On recall, the more senses that engage that thought, the further forward it comes in your memory. So I said comes in your memory.
Right. But, AI stuff.
Yeah. So let's talk about AI stuff, because certainly more. Is Amazon down right now? Dude, go to Amazon.com. I can't connect to it. I don't know if it's a proxy server routing issue or something, but I cannot connect to Amazon.com right now.
It is you.
It's me? Okay.
It's you.
Of course it is. It always is.
Yeah, right. Hey, Camaro, thank you very much. Have you heard about the accusation from Madison? She quit LTT. She claims sexual assault. She told the guys that, yes, we have, and there's not much to say.
No, we need to wait for the investigation. I think we both agree that Linus is doing the right thing by having an outside party come in and investigate it, so that it's unbiased and without, his emotion being involved. And pending the outcome of that, if it turns out to be true, whoever was involved in that needs to be fucking fired immediately. And I think that that's terrible, but it does need to be investigated, because I've also been a victim of false allegations, and it almost destroyed my life, and I almost committed suicide over it. So I just want to say, and I follow Madison. I think Madison even follows me on Twitter. I've watched her Twitch streams and everything. She's highly entertaining. She's highly intelligent. I did like her in the Linus videos when she was doing the videos on Linus Tech Tips. So when she disappeared, I was like, oh, what the hell happened to her? And I never really got a straight story, other than maybe there was a conflict of interest with live streaming, or now we find out from her side that it was something else. But we're trying not to go deep into it, because we want the investigation to play out. We want the investigation to speak for itself, because anything other than that is just going to be opinion. And that's not really good to fuck with in a situation like this, because it's not good for Linus, it's not good for Madison. So why even do it, right? Let the investigation play out. But Linus has committed to making the change. Like if this, because he said this is absolutely not acceptable. Like whatever is found will be dealt with. And I think that's good that he's not just taking the blanket position of, oh no, that's like, she's just a fucking liar or whatever like that. No, that would have been horrible to fucking do. He's taken the right decision by having it externally reviewed, because again, her argument is their HR team didn't listen to her when she went to them. Like the people were not listening to her. So if they were conducting the investigation, it would be meaningless. So it's good that they've got outside people coming in. But hopefully that answers your question. And thank you for the 10-pound super chat, you absolute freaking legend. Here, I'll give you another one. Just because it's pounds. We like those pounds, because they're worth ever so slightly more than the dollars.
Those ones are euros. Those ones are euros.
But, those are the ones that are almost worth as much as $1, huh?
Yeah, pretty much.
Man. Okay, well, I'll give you another one because I fucked up. There you go. There you go. You get 3 of them now. Here, I'll even give you one of these. Yeah. Nice. I think I got our audio levels pretty matched up now. Sorry that took an entire stream to do.
Sounds fine to me, man.
All right, so now we're going to talk about
next time.
Since now we're talking about investigations and all that stuff, it's a perfect time to talk about deep faking. So artificial intelligence, we're going to talk about machine learning, we're going to talk about adversarial networks, generative AI. There is so much advancement in this space. It's made my head turn. Cool stuff. So while I've been sick, for the last 2 weeks after returning from LTX, I kind of threw myself into GitHub, right? I got a Copilot subscription. And I was like, you know what? I want to go look at what open source projects are out there that aren't getting very much attention. Nobody's talking about them. Like, what is the state of the community's involvement in AI today? And the truth is, holy crap, if you are paying for AI services, like if you're paying a service to do voice cloning, lip syncing, music removal, all that thing, you are getting fucking robbed unless you're just paying for the bandwidth and the processing power, because all of the stuff that they're using is all open source. It's all public. They're basically just taking this open source shit, putting it in a web service, and then gouging you for it. And that's why there's so many, like if you go search on Google or whatever, and you're like, oh, I want to find video interpolation or super resolution services, or I want to find voice cloning, or I want to find this, or you want to do stuff kind of like that Twitch stream where they have the presidents doing the back and forth. Funny. It's amazing. If you haven't seen that on Twitch, even if you're not a political person, it's just hilarious, because they basically they created a synthetic Trump and a synthetic Biden that are basically video clips of them with lip synced using their own voices in real time. And it interacts with chat. So you can actually talk to the virtual presidents, and within 6 minutes, they'll respond. And they say the most craziest shit. It's all backed by AI. I wanted to figure out how they did that, because they wouldn't give me all the secret sauce. I asked them, I talked to them on Discord, they DM me.
But enough poking around it, man. You can figure it out.
Enough poking around, I figured it out. It took me 2 weeks to find all the pieces. I'm not going to just publish them all publicly, though, because we're really going into the shitter financially. So if you want to know about this, it's all going to be published on my Patreon. So if you want to join my Patreon, $1 a month, join my Patreon, and you can see the posts where I'm talking about all these tools.
What, do you get like 30 cents from that? Come on. It should be $5. Should be $5.
Well, I don't want to raise it, though, because I've had so many people that have been loyal. And if you change it, then it forces them all to go up to the new tier, and they have to agree to it. I was like, I don't want to have a second tier.
As just a bonus. Like you can start at 5.
No, I do. I have a 1, a 5, a 20. I even have one that's like 500 that was for Adam back in the day, because Adam was just wanted his own tier. Yeah, I just gotta. I'm gonna start putting more attention on that, because those people have honestly been coming in clutch lately, because I'm hurting. But back to the AI thing, other than my financial situation going into the toilet, the AI stuff, all the tools are there. I will tell you that if you go search GitHub and you search around, don't use Google, don't use Bing, go to GitHub and just poke around. The shit you find is crazy. And I'll give you a couple of the tools. Like one of the tools that you should be looking at right now is called Roop, ROOP. Roop is basically a tool that can do a face swap. Did you guys see? Who here has not seen the face swap video that I did on Twitter?
So I saw some screenshots of Steven Seagal.
Yes, I put Steven Seagal into Beverly Hills Ninja, and it's 5 different Steven Seagals as all the characters, including the woman. So here, let me get a link to it so people can go and watch it, because I don't think I'm set up here to play it on stream.
Excuse me.
Let's see. And plus on Twitter now you got to like log in to see it. But I took this clip right here. I'll put it copy, go over here, put it in chat. I'll post it. Okay, is that the right one? Okay, hopefully this works for you guys. So I just put it in chat. So this video I made in about 30 minutes, and 15 minutes of it was processing time, and the other 15 minutes was just cutting the clips, right? I took it into, the Clip Champ and cut it together so that it, the audio clips from Seagal were lined up somewhat with things.
Oh man, I gotta be subscribed. Boo.
Wait, did it say that? Oh, on Twitter. Yeah, you have to be logged in. Logged into Twitter.
I am logged in, but I have to be subscribed to your Twitter.
Did I send you this? Oh shit, I sent you the.
This is Patron post copy for Twitter subs.
I've got one of just the video that's public. I just grabbed the wrong one. Here, let me copy this one. Sorry about that, guys. Look at me trying to get a couple people to subscribe on Twitter. I'm such a stinker. Okay, so no, sorry. Just check chat. It's this link right here. My bad. All
right, that's better.
So the one that I posted before is the 60.
That's actually pretty good.
Isn't that crazy? So just to let you know, I made that none of the face swap in there has anything to do with the video editing. That was 100% done with a command line tool. All I did was give it a picture of my face, of Steven Seagal's face. I gave it a picture of Steven Seagal's face. I pointed it to the clip of Beverly Hills Ninja. And 15 minutes later, I have a clip with a face swap that's that good. And I also want to say that the Steven Seagal picture that I used doesn't even have that facial expression, doesn't have that lighting, nothing. So if people that have looked at this have told me that looks better than the shit that they've trained with Deep Face Lab for like 2 weeks. Because normally the process of doing a deep fake, if you want to do a good deep fake, you have to go find like an hour or so of video of somebody in multiple positions
and
looking around.
Angles and stuff. Yeah. Different.
Then what you have to do is extract all the frames from the video. You have to go through each frame of the video and center their face. There's tools to do it, right? You have to go through each of these processes, center the faces. Then you have to manually go through and delete anything where there's a hand in front of the face or there's something obstructing the face or hair over the face, so that you just get like thousands of pictures of just a face in various different orientations, right? So then what you do with that is you put it through a deep training thing to create a, they call it a interference network. So you have to create this interference network where,
I think
inference. That's an inference network, where it'll go through and it'll look at all the different faces and then generate basically a model that can create that same face convincingly over the top of an existing face with as close of a match as humanly possible. And then it can tweak it a little bit to line up. So if you have thousands of images of somebody's face in different orientations, then you look at another picture and you use AI to say, oh, this is where the nose should be, for this face versus this face. This is where the eyes should be, the size of the eyes. It'll tweak it ever so slightly, but then blend it in perfectly for each frame. Then you take all the frames, you put them back into video, and bing, bang, boom, you have a deep fake. That usually takes weeks of training. Like even on a GPU, like a 3080 or whatever, it takes weeks of training to get a model that can deep fake somebody really, really well into almost any video. However, that is all circumvented now with something called TensorFlow, because TensorFlow has a model that somebody created that can basically take a single image of a face and it can generate all those hundreds of thousands of images to train that network from one picture. It can basically take that one picture and 3D model it and morph it into every single possible configuration and basically create a deep fake trained model instantaneously, because it already has all the training. It's just applying the picture to all the training of an existing generic face. And it works perfectly. It literally looks like I used Deep Face Lab for weeks, and I did a couple deep fakes. They didn't look very good at all. They all had problems. They all had lines around them. And then you use another thing called GFP GAN, which is built into Roop. And what it does is it does a facial enhancement. So normally when you do deep fakes, the face is somewhat low resolution because of the amount of data that's required to generate it. GFP GAN uses a model that looks at the low resolution face and restores all the fidelity to it by following all the principles of what a human face should look like. So bing, bang, boom, you feed in one picture of like the picture I use of Steven Seagal looks nothing like the Steven Seagal that's on those faces. Like it morphs it into that. And so Roop is a tool, and this thing sucks, is the tool I actually used to make that was called Rope. It's basically a fork of Roop. After I advertised it on Twitter, it got deleted because there was too much attention and people were freaked out that it was going to be used for like revenge porn. So the person took down the project, unfortunately. So you can't find Rope anymore. But Roop, and the author of Roop says he's distancing himself from it because people are attacking him for creating a tool that makes it so easy to do deepfakes. So now he's going to archive it and he's not going to continue creating the tool. So I would say download it sooner rather than later because it's not going to be available anymore in a while. There are other people creating tools based on the same technology because the models are out there. Like, even if he doesn't develop the tool, the models still exist all over the internet. So it's just a matter of you like creating a Python script, putting in TensorFlow, making a couple calls to load the model and do a little bit of the lifting. There's no way they're ever going to stop it. It's just going to be new projects, right? But it's called Roop. And it is a little bit of a pain in the ass to install and get working. But all I'm going to say is just it's Python dependency hell if you've ever had to deal with that before. But once you get it working, it works every time. Like, you literally just give it a video with a face in it that you want to swap. You give it an image and it will swap with the most prominent face in the video. So if you start the video and you cut it to where the most prominent face is visible first, that's the one it'll swap. And it'll even recognize that face. It won't replace all the faces. It'll look for that specific person and only replace their face throughout the rest of the video. So I even did this. I can't release it for obvious reasons because I get the shit suit out of me. But I swapped my face onto what's his nuts from what's the movie called? The Flash or whatever. The new Flash movie that's out.
Ezra Miller?
Yeah. So I downloaded a clip of that and I deep faked myself on top of him through multiple scenes. And it looks fantastic. It looks absolutely fantastic. I get in so much trouble if I release that though, because Marvel's like really hardcore about that. So even with my fat face on skinny little Ezra, it works perfectly. And it looks like if you're not looking closely, it looks like I'm actually just a fat face skinny kid in the movie. So nice. Remember how I was telling you a while ago, one day we're gonna have AI where you can just say, hey, I want to be the hero in the movie, and you're the hero in the movie?
Yeah, man.
That's here.
Yeah.
It's here. Yeah. I have all the tools to do it because. And not only that, I can also clone my voice, which I'll tell you about this a little bit. This is much harder though. Voice cloning is so much harder than deep faking right now of images because it's lagging behind. Like, first the deep fake, you had to do the deep face lab with thousands of hours of training. Now those trained models exist, so you can just download the model and use a single image, right? That doesn't quite exist for the audio that I found yet. You still have to create a model for the audio, which requires taking clear clips of the person speaking. You have to like go into Audacity or your favorite audio editor. You have to drag in a clip of like me saying, hey, welcome to Barnacules Nerdgasm. And then I have to create a text file that says, welcome space to space Barnacules space Nerdgasm, spelled correctly. Save that. And then I have to do that thousands of times for as many clips as I can find where I speak clearly with no distractions, no audio in the background, no noise. So that takes hours and hours and hours to collect all that. Once you collect 1,000 or so words, and you have hundreds of WAV files with hundreds of text files that meticulously say what each WAV file says, then you can feed it into this program. I'm not going to tell you what the program is, though. You guys are going to have to look for this one for yourself. It's on GitHub. There's about 5 of them that can do it with the same method. And so what it does is it goes through all of these audio clips and it trains. You have to leave it run overnight. Like, I ran it for 2 days to get a convincing voice. And once you run it for 2 days, and sometimes the voice will get worse. You have to test it every once in a while. And sometimes you have to go backwards. So you create checkpoints. And if the voice starts getting worse, then you go back to a previous checkpoint, you add some more WAV files and more text, and then you let it go again and retrain from that checkpoint. So it's a lot of trial and error. But after 2 days, I was able to get it to replicate a pretty good version of my own voice. It's like, hello, my name's Jerry, and welcome to Barnacules Nerdgasm. And there's no like, hello, this is Barnacules Nerdgasm. It sounds natural. The only problem is it has a slight buzzing sound in the background because the audio clips that I chose had an artifact that kept getting more and more amplified as training went on. So I got to go through Audacity and clean them up. I found out later that that's what I need to do is go through and process the audio to make it as clear as possible and take out anything in the background, keep totally flat. Once you do that, the training should take out that little buzzy. So it sounds like I'm talking on a telephone. But it sounds perfect. Like even if I say Barnacules, 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 it doesn't go Barnacules, Barnacules, Barnacules. It'll go Barnacules, 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 Barnacules. Like it'll change the inflection as it flows. So if you say, hello, I'm Barnacules, today is Barnacules, tomorrow is Barnacules, it'll actually flow and change how it says Barnacules based on the previous word and the word that follows it. So it flows together as like a perfect sentence. So it's not just taking those WAV files and like cutting them together to make the audio. It's even creating new words entirely. So like if I just say supercalifragilisticexpialidocious, it will say it in my voice convincingly. Because it can go through all of those words that it trained, and it basically creates a model where it knows how to flow from every sound into the next sound as you would say it with a bunch of other words. So like supercalifragilisticexpialidocious would mean super, Kala is probably close to can't or caller. So then it gets that little piece from it. And then aloe would be like, al or follow. So it basically picks each one of those little things and figures out how it flows into every other sound that it has on you. And then it creates a model that can do that free flowing from the sentence. So then you get a model where you can make yourself say anything. So now I could go into my clip from like the Flash, and let's say Ezra Miller's whatever's like, oh, I got to get in there and save those people. Now what I can do is I can go create a text file that says, go in there. I'm going to go in there and save those people. Or no, fuck it. Not even the same thing. I'm going to say, fuck the police or whatever. I'm going in there. Completely different. Yeah. Now what I do is I create my clone voice clip and I put it in there and edit it. But it doesn't look right. It doesn't line up with the movements of my mouth. I'm deep faked onto him, but my mouth is still moving to his dialogue. So it doesn't work. It just sounds like me, right? It looks like it's dubbed. Now there's another program on GitHub. There's actually 3 or 4 of them that I found. One that I got working successfully. That you can take that WAV file and you can take your deepfake video file, pass it on the command line. When it's done processing it, the lips of your deepfake will move perfectly in sync with your dialogue generated from the cloned voice. Ha. So now you can not only be on the face of the person in the video with the right lighting and everything moving, you can have their mouth moving sunk to the cloned voice saying whatever you want them to say within the clip that they said something completely different. So those are all the pieces of technology that can do exactly what that Twitch channel is doing in real time by spending money on a data center with Tesla cards so they can do it in near real time.
I mean, I'm not too surprised because like there was a really good example of this in a movie. They did a behind the scenes on a movie called like Fall, something like that. These girls climb a radio tower and then get stuck, like the ladder falls and stuff. But they it was a smaller sort of example. They like cut out her mouth, and for the different dubs in different countries and stuff, they redid they had the AI redo her mouth so that it looks like she's genuinely speaking Spanish.
This is that same technology.
Yeah, similar sort of a thing there. And I'm like, holy cow, that's pretty cool. So I'm not surprised that there's open source models that will do that for you as well, because like, of course there are.
So if I had the video of like each dub, so like let's say you watch a video and sometimes you can change the language. If I took the Flash for my reference and I said play a clip in English, now play a clip in French and play a clip in Spanish. All 3 of those clips are going to have the English movements, right? Because they only recorded Ezra Miller saying his lines in English. What I can do then is use this tool I just told you about, as long as I can get that dialogue down to fit within the window, because it obviously has to fit within the window of the time that the person's saying it. So I might have to speed it up a little or slow it down.
You fit it a little, right. They'll end up.
So once I tweak it, and you can do that now, the Audacity has a way to make audio go faster or slower without changing the pitch of it at all. And it sounds natural. So you change those clips. Now what I would have to do is just run it through this tool, and it would sync the audio from the new dialogue to the character, even with the background sound and everything. It'll work it out. And if you can't get it to work with the background sound, there's another tool, and I'll tell you the name of this one. It's called Music Assassin. It's another open source tool that's free on GitHub. This tool can remove music or extract dialogue from any video. So if I feed it a video with music in the background, like let's say I have a YouTube video that gets copyright struck, right? I could download that video to my computer using another free tool called YouTube Video Downloader that can literally download anything from YouTube in any quality. It can download the subtitles, text, thumbnails, everything without you even being logged in or having an API license. It's one of the most powerful tools I've ever seen. I can literally point at a YouTube channel and it'll download every high quality video clip from that channel without even having a premium account or anything from the command line.
Cool.
It's crazy powerful. So what I can do is I can download that clip. I can run Music Assassin over it, and it will almost meticulously. It depends on if the music has vocals, it'll leave the vocals in, but it'll take out all the instruments. So if you watch my little deepfake clip, I ran it on that. So when it's like everybody is kung fu fighting, like I don't know if you guys all clicked the lip. You notice there's no music. It's just the vocals. It's because I used Music Assassin to remove the music so it wouldn't get DMCA'd. So like watch here, I'll hit play on it. You guys will be able to hear it here. And you might not even noticed it the first time you watched it, but yeah, watch. There's no musical instruments. Everybody was see, it's just a hoo ha.
Yo, fuck nuts.
Huh. Like I don't hear it, but I'm sure everybody else does.
Oh shit! How did we get it?
Which is weird because like I'm hearing the announcement.
You were here, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Don't sweat it. Don't sweat it.
No, I'll figure it out later. I'm not gonna let it get me. So you guys, other new Aux, you guys heard there's no music in there. It's just the lyrics from the song. So this tool is designed for removing music, but the other thing it can do with a little coding tweak is it can actually extract just the music and put it back in. So what you can do is you can take the music out with AI, put it back in, and now you have karaoke with no vocals. So now I can have all the music to Everyone Was Kung Fu Fighting with none of the words, and now I can do karaoke with it. So, and it does a really good job. Sometimes you have to tweak settings a little and everything to get it perfect, but you can get it perfect. And if you've ever removed audio with YouTube's tool, it basically cuts out a bunch of dialogue. And it makes it sound really messed up. Like when you do the thing where it's like, oh, you got DMCA'd and you have to pull the audio out. So now you just download the video and just re-upload it, which kind of sucks because it creates a new thing. But when you re-upload it, now you don't have to go through and like, recompile it. And maybe you don't have the old project. It's an old video that gets DMCA'd years and years and years later. You can go back and actually pull the music out of it. But the other thing is you can just pull dialogue. And the reason why that's really important is, let's say you want to clone somebody's voice, but every video they ever did has music playing in the background. Like a lot of YouTube channels, like it's like, hi, welcome to Barnacules Nerdgasm in the background. It's like do 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 do, like elevator music. It's really hard for you to clone that guy's voice because the background music doesn't get differentiated. So what you do is you use Music Assassin to basically pull the background music out of all those clips, so it's just pure dialogue, and then you clone the voice from that. So now if you have voice clips that you need to complete the voice to get enough syllables and enough words, you can take some that have background music and remove the background music. It's crazy, and you download different models. People have different trained models you can download that some are better with certain music than others, and some are better at removing just drums or just removing guitar. But all that stuff is open source. It's all open source, and you can find it. And some of the open source projects don't publish the models there because they're like 30 gigabytes in some cases. But you can always go find them on Google or Bing and download the model, put it into the folder with the tool. It just detects it. Boom, you're in business. This stuff does take, I will tell you right now, it's not low effort, like to get it working, because every one of these tools requires a different version of Python, different versions of the dependencies, tinkering around with installing CUDA toolkit. Then you have to go install something called the CD something NN. It's like CUDA's neural network learning toolbox. Let's see, what is it? CUDA DN. Is it DCN? DN. I want to tell people the right one. It's like NN. So I'm like D something NN. DN. CUDNN, which is CUDA Deep Neural Network. So you don't just install the tools. Like, this is where a lot of the projects screw you over, is they say, oh, install the CUDA tools and it just works. No, you have to install the CUDA toolkit. Then you have to go expand the CUDNN thing into the folder where you installed CUDA. I know it's a pain in the ass, but once you do, then it magically starts working and you have fully GPU accelerated. And let me tell you, the GPU acceleration is the difference. To make that Chris Farley swap clip that I did, with CPU, it took 4.5 hours. With GPU, it took 15 minutes on 13080 with 10 gig of RAM. So GPU is so much faster with this deep learning stuff and the neural network. But the one common thing that all of these tools seem to be using, at least for Python projects, there's some that aren't Python. Everything I've talked about is Python. Like there's probably other versions that are written in Rust and Go and C++ and all that. But the Python projects, I was wondering why all these AI projects seem to be Python. It's because they all use this library called TensorFlow. Yeah. And TensorFlow is like a deep learning library. And then there's another library called Torch. And Torch is a neural network library, right? So every one of these tools seems to use those two things. It's TensorFlow and Torch. And then some of them also add on another tool that does like some databasing stuff to make things faster and more efficient. But when you mix those two things together, you have the ability to create neural networks and adversarial neural networks. And then the other tool, you have the ability to train them. TensorFlow is really used for the training of these neural networks. And so it's crazy how powerful some of this shit is. This shit all just open source, just people just creating this shit and throwing it up on GitHub. And I'm actually surprised that, well, I'm not really surprised. GitHub didn't even take down the project showing you how to license Windows 11 for free, right? Like if you search for activate Windows 11, there's like 1,000 projects on GitHub that all work to completely activate a Windows 11 copy, and it'll never ask you for activation again. And Microsoft owns GitHub. And even though people report these things all the time, Microsoft never takes the project down. They say it doesn't violate their guidelines to have that. Because as long as it's code, you can't remove it because it's protected under open source. It's only when you compile it. And that's why a lot of these projects are either script or require you to compile it. Because when you run it as a script, it compiles at runtime. And if it's a project that's just code, you have to compile it to run it. Until you create it into a binary and you actually use it, there's nothing illegal. It could literally be a GitHub project on how to decode MPEG-2, right? And it's like, until you actually create an exe and try to release it, you're not breaking any laws. So that actually gives them a lot of flexibility to do this stuff on GitHub. And some of the tools I found, dude, it's freaking mind blowing. Like, if you have an idea for a tool, go search on GitHub first, because after a little searching, you'll find like 90% of what you're looking for before you even start developing the tool. You might only need to take an existing tool and modify it ever so slightly. So like one of the things I did with Roop, of course, because I am me, is Roop has a built-in safety for non-safe for work content. It basically has a library that's included and implemented in it that if you try to do anything with deep swapping, with face swapping, anything with nudity, it'll immediately eject you out of the tool and say, you can't do this. And they built that into the tool so people wouldn't use it for like revenge porn and things like that, right? Well, I wanted to use it to put my face on Ron Jeremy for my own amusement. And because the result is hilarious. Obviously, I can't release it, but the result is absolutely hilarious. So how did I do that? Well, Roop, being a developer, I just went in and just changed all the calls where it calls into this library to see if the content is within a weight. It checks a weight. Like, if it's, are you 80% certain that this contains NSFW content? You basically just tell it to always detect 0%. And you change one line of code, you rerun it, and now it'll do anything. It'll face swap you onto Ron. It'll face swap you onto literally anything. And so at that point, it becomes like, now you got to look at it and go, shit, if anybody can just go download that and use it, they could use that for some really bad shit. Like absolutely terrible shit. And people have used it for terrible shit. But by having it on GitHub and having it to where you have to have knowledge of installing Python, setting up libraries, you have to be a developer, it minimizes how many people are going to do that. Because most people that are going to do the illegal activity like that and release shit and everything, they're going to be dumb people that don't know how to do the other 90%. Not always. Yeah. But it minimizes the set of people that have that ability. And that's why you don't see a lot of EXEs of this shit out in the wild. Like, you know, where people just Google it and download it and it just works. Because if somebody made it that easy, it would immediately get struck down by the community. But if it's code, it doesn't get struck down.
And that's also where you have like these companies coming out that offer this stuff as like a service. It's like, because they've gone through all the hassle of like setting it up and turning it into you know, making it more user friendly and things like that. You're paying for it always comes back to this, but you're paying for the convenience.
Right. Yeah. Right. And every company for ethical reasons has to put these guards in place. So if you do it yourself, you can do whatever you want. So like if you got your own, you know, video that you made of you doing whatever the hell you want to do and you want to face swap, you know, somebody else onto it or whatever, you'll be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna have my wife be me. Actually, that'd be really weird, wouldn't it? Like you got a video of yourself and you take your wife, you're just like, oh, I'm gonna face swap her onto me and see what that looks. God, that would scar you for life, wouldn't it? But the technology that they have for this, I mean, it can be used for really, really evil shit, right? So it's like, I understand why the companies have to put the roadblocks in place, but if you're running it locally on your own computer, you can bypass a lot of that shit as a developer. One of the things that I really get pissed off about it is not just for NSFW content, but just for political content, religious content, anything that could be offensive to anybody. You'll get shot down by Bing. You'll get shot down by Midjourney. You'll get shot down by what's the other one? Dolly, I think is OpenAI's. If you go in there and say, okay, draw me a picture of a Wolverine with 75 dicks, it'll go, oh, sorry, I can't do that because it's you know, against our policy. Draw me a picture of Arnold Schwarzenegger getting his first period or something like that. It'll be like, sorry, I can't do that, right? All of them will say no, that it can't do that. Now you got something called Stable Diffusion. This is an open source AI image generation tool that's also on GitHub. If you set up Stable Diffusion and you say, create me a Wolverine with 20 dicks, it will create you, to the best of its knowledge, a Wolverine with 20 dicks on it. The problem is the default model wasn't trained. They specifically didn't train it on NSFW content, so it doesn't really know what that is, right? It'll try its best to approximate something, but 90% of the time, it doesn't look like what you were asking for. Now you step into LoRa models. LoRa models are these pre-trained specific models that you can stack on top of other models, or you can download entire other models if you have the bandwidth for it, because some of these models are like 2 to 30 gigabytes. So there's sites that have these huge libraries of models that you can download that you can just plug and play into Stable Diffusion. So when people say, oh, Stable Diffusion doesn't have good results like Midjourney, the only reason is because it's using a very conservative training model. If you go download bigger, better models that are more suited to the things you're creating, you get much better results, like results that would exceed anything Midjourney could ever dream of. And so if I want my magical picture of a Wolverine with 20 dicks on it, I can literally go download a model that's trained on animals. So I can say, go get me a model that's just trained on nothing but animals, right? Then I can go get a LoRa model that's just trained on just dicks. That's it. Like it's a model. Somebody threw it in a folder with a million different dicks in it.
Of course they did.
Right. So I take the primary model, install it, take the LoRa model, stack it on top of that. And now in my phrases, I'm like, draw me my Wolverine with 20 dicks. And now I get a Wolverine with convincingly 20 dicks. And you're like, whoa, how the hell did it create that? You couldn't create that through any online model because they would have to block you on it. You also wouldn't be able to install brand new neural networks in place in real time with the online services. You'd have to use whatever their network or whatever they trained, right? Their proprietary thing. And what separates Midjourney from like DALL-E or Bing AI images, like if you go to Bing right now, a lot of people don't even know this. If you go to bing.com right now, I know everybody's, ew, Bing, ew. If you go to bing.com and you type into the box, draw me a picture of a monkey with 6 arms, right? And you hit enter. What it's going to do is it's going to go into the AI chat mode. And it's going to say, I'm drawing you a picture of a monkey. And it'll give you back 4 pictures of its best attempt at creating AI generated monkeys. And the image quality is really good, but its rejection rate is super high. Like I even asked it to do shit that was like completely innocent. And it was like, that might be offensive to somebody. So we're not going to do it. Because they have it cranked. I mean, it's probably the most restrictive of all the AIs, but it's also the easiest to use because you don't need a subscription. You can literally just go to bing.com, type it, say I want a picture of a guy hacking a computer. I can go to bing.com and say, draw me a picture of a guy hacking a computer. You know, and it'll say, here's images of a guy hacking a computer. Oh, you have to click chat. Sorry, my bad. When you type it in at the top of the screen, it'll say search, chat, images, video, maps, news, and shopping. You got to click chat.
Oh, yeah, okay.
When you click chat, it'll bring down the chat window. And then it'll repeat your search. Draw me a picture of a guy hacking a computer. And right now I'm waiting for it to respond. Okay, it said, I'll try to create that. Yep, it's trying to create it. It didn't reject it. So it said, I'm creating an image of, it's trying to create my image right now. So when it finishes creating the image, I'll send you a link so you can see what it created from what I just typed there. And it's actually really good. The result is actually fantastic. So I'm going to do copy image link, and it's fast. It already created the image. Let me go to the channel. Let me put this in here. So this is Bing's result. In chat, if you guys find that link, that's the image it gave me. Isn't that cool? So that's
good, but it's also a little weird.
Yeah, his eyes are like kind of off in limbo. But again, just like with any AI, if I give it more information, if I say draw me a picture of a guy hacking a computer with eyes that aren't messed up and the right number of fingers with no disfigurements and make it look photorealistic without anything that would make people think it might be AI generated. Actually, it might balk at that one. Because if you tell it to try to make an image that can't be identified as AI, most of these AIs will go, nope, sorry, we can't do that. Yeah, it said, I'll try to create that. Is there anything else you'd like me to do? Oh, it is actually trying. Okay, so I thought it was going to reject me on that one. Okay, so it is generating it. And it just sits there with a little bar. It's like, oh, okay, I'm generating your image. It's weird that it's so out of place, though. Oh, okay, that's not, this is even worse than the last one, but I'll give you guys the link. Yeah, so it takes a little tuning, but just to be fair, like, this is based on DALL-E. And because it's based on DALL-E, it doesn't give you the best results. DALL-E is probably one of the worst. Jesus. I know, right?
Whoa.
That guy's a little messed up.
And you can also say the funky hand, it's actually pretty decent. And there's like a weird thing with the mouse and stuff, but like, it's not bad. You know, obviously stylized, and there's some weird issues on the I guess it'd be his right arm.
Yep.
But otherwise, like, not bad.
Yeah, and if you say like draw me 4 pictures or draw me 5 pictures, it'll give you 5 attempts at creating the image. I don't know how many it stops at. Oh yeah, image creator temporarily available. And I said create 10 images. But if you say like create 4 images, I've had it successfully give me 4 different images. So you have some you have like a selection to pick from if you want. But the thing is you're only restricted to the one size image that they give you back, the square. And that's true for most of the AI generation programs. However, if you're using Stable Diffusion locally, you can have it create an image any size you want. You can make it any resolution you want because you're the one that's putting up the processing power for it. So if you have like a 3080 or better, crank that thing to the moon. And it's fast. They've optimized the crap out of it. If you used it like a year ago, it was super slow. Now on a 3080, an RTX 3080, you can generate an image about every 3 seconds from a model. So like normally what I do now when I generate images, I don't generate one. I do a batch of like 10. And I say, draw me a picture. And then I've got 10 images in an array that I can flip through to find the one that's the best result. And that usually is faster than me saying, oh, generate one, look at it, then generate another one, look at it. Just do it as a batch. And so Stable Diffusion is fantastic. Now, the other thing you can do with Stable Diffusion is, remember how I was talking about Roop earlier, the tool that can do the face swapping, like I used for the Beverly Hills Ninja clip? There's a plugin for Stable Diffusion that allows you to use Roop in Stable Diffusion in real time. So what you do now is you say, create me a picture of a hacker hacking a computer. And then you say, you take a picture of your own face, you put it in there, you click GFP GAN for the facial enhancement feature, you hit generate. Now it might take 12 seconds instead of 3 seconds, but now you have a hacker that has your face. Isn't that crazy?
Ooh,
like, and it works great. Like, did you see, like, here, let me see if I can find the tweet where I sent out all the, I deep faked myself as a young man and as an old man and all these things. And they're all using the same image, the same input image using this root plugin. And here, let me scroll back through. I think it's just like a couple of days. Did you see the deep fake I did with Joel? Where I put my face on Joel's short? Oh, nope. Dude. Oh, this is great. Here, let me send you this one. So this is why you guys should follow me on Twitter and actually check my profile, because you'll never see anything because old Elon has me like so flying out of the radar. Like everybody's like, did you quit Twitter?
Here and there, yeah.
All right, so here's another Twitter link. Follow me while you're there, damn it. This is a clip I took from Joel Telling, aka 3D Printing Nerd, and I used Roop to put my face on Joel Telling in his own YouTube short, talking about how he got the Prusa XL printer from
bonkers.
Yeah, but I mean, the reason the glasses look out of place, like they keep appearing and disappearing. So the way you fix that, there's two ways you can fix that. One, you go into the model and you tweak the values so that it'll remove anything that's foreign. And it takes a little bit of playing with, but you can get it to remove the glasses to where they're never there. So I just didn't take the time to do it. Yeah. Or the other thing you do is you just put on glasses yourself. And if it detects your glasses, it will align the glasses that you're wearing to the deep fake on the face of the glasses. So then it looks perfect. So, and it can even do all the way sideways. It can go all the way up to, as long as the face is, it can't do it like this far back, right? But like, as long as the face is 90 degrees parallel to the camera, it can still successfully do a face swap that's convincing. Okay. Which is just wild to me. So, yeah, everybody responded. Even Joseph Prusa responded to this. He's like, dude, this is so trippy. Like, how the hell are you doing this?
Wow.
So this picture here, I'll show you this picture right here. This is the picture, and you guys probably watch the video and then look at this picture. This is the picture that I'm using to swap. And tell me you believe this. Like this like grayed out, washed out picture of me with a frown looking at the camera. This is the
pretty
only
neutral.
Yeah, this is a neutral. This is the only picture I'm giving it to do that whole deep fake on that Joel video. Isn't that crazy? Dang. How it's even merging like our beards together and everything like that. It's so wild, man.
Wow.
And I don't even have to cut it out. I don't have to cut out the background or anything. It'll extract your face from any image. So even if you have a picture of you that's at least, I think has to be within 1/8 of the size of the overall photo, it'll find your face and extract it. Wow. And use it for the swap.
What a trip.
Yeah, this shit's getting crazy, man. It's getting absolutely crazy.
I wonder how it would handle like all of this. Like I found a lot of the face swappy stuff or a lot of the anything to do with that. It borks real hard. Doesn't know how to handle the fidelity or whatever of my beard. There's like it doesn't I don't know.
Well, there's one way to find out. I'm gonna hide chat. There. Step back so I can see your whole beard. And I'm going to click start recording. So now I'm recording a local copy of this. Yeah. So just say whatever you want for like a couple of minutes and just a couple seconds. Yeah.
I'm a little teapot, short and stout. Here is my handle. Here is my spout.
Perfect. Okay. I'm going to stop recording. So now, it's saving. It's encoding. Wow. It's taking that long to encode. Jeez. How much of my encoder is it using?
I'm telling you, man.
Yeah.
The anti-aliasing or whatever.
They're recording really quick. So let me go into my folder with OBS recordings.
Yeah, super laggy while recording. Yeah.
Oh, it did. Yeah, I saw that. I wonder if it was just pushing the limits of like what it could do. Yeah. All right, let me remux the video. There we go. The video is now remuxed. That means just converting it from MKV to MP4. Now I'm going to go grab that. So let me find it. See.
Yeah, definitely priority shifted and read write and stuff. Yeah.
There we go. Okay. So now I've got the image right here, the remuxed version property.
Yeah. His recording is going to be fine. It was the stream that it took too much resources from the stream.
Actually,
the recording is going to be fine.
Let me see if the recording does look good. No, the recording's pretty choppy too. I think it just overwhelmed the whole system, but it's okay. It'll still be good enough to show you the swap. So let me rename this to AuxxZillary.mp4. I'm going to just move that into a folder that's easier to manage since this is all from the command line. All right, and then let's see, cut and paste using Terracopy. I just installed Terracopy the other day. That is a great tool, by the way. Way better than the inbox copy in Windows. Okay, so CMD, drop out the command line. I got to go into my deep fake folder where I have my 20 tools I've been learning. And then the tool I want for this is I'm going to use something called Rope, which gives me a better result. That's the tool that I told you is deleted now. So Rope is a forked version that can do multiple faces. So I could literally take like a video with like all the Avengers and put a different face on every Avenger through the entire movie, and it would track each face and change them with that character. But they took that tool down, unfortunately. But there's a new one coming to replace it here pretty soon. In the meantime, just use Roop. You can achieve the same results with Roop. It just takes a lot more shit. All right, so now I got to, I forgot. I got to, I think I have to, no, never mind. I don't have to do that. Run.
And awesome. Simply, yeah, right. It doesn't, it tends to wig out. Like you'll get weird artifacting and stuff because it's like when you stream, if you're live streaming a game, it looks great on your machine. But,
dude, the stream is like tripping out hard.
It's just, yeah.
If you guys just heard robotic voices, it's trying to run the deepfake tool right now, and it's like maxing the GPU. So you're like, you sounded like R2D2 having sex. Wait, say something?
No.
Shit. Oh, so it can't handle doing this at the same time. Here, just hold on. Just hang out for a second, because it's like struggling to do both. So let me load the faces and see. This shouldn't take long since it was such a short clip. So now I have to go to, let's see. Okay, so change folder to dtemp. There we go. Reload videos. Okay, it's loading. Let's see here. Oops, something screwed up here. Hold on. Reload face. Oh, I need to get your, I need to get my face, which is, where's my face at? Oh, I know where my face is. Hold on. So it's deepfake faces barnacules.png. All right, I got it. Come on, damn it. There we go. Cancel Barnacules. There it is. Select folder. Sorry. I'm on the spot. Okay, there we go. Okay, selected. Let me reload the faces. Come on, load the faces. Load the faces. System cannot find the file specified. Why? Hold on here. Tier line. Callback cannot find or populate targeted. Oh no, target videos is in dtemp. My bad. And I need to put you in your own folder because I got a bunch of shit in that folder. Oops. So give me a second. Make directory called AuxxZillary. And then mkdir aux. Directory name is invalid. It wouldn't let me create a directory called aux. Is aux a reserved keyword for a system device
like
in Windows?
2X?
No, just AUX.
Oh,
I think it is. Yeah, it must be.
That's like, that's like the label for the aux plug and stuff.
That makes sense, actually.
Two X's and then Zillary.
All right, there we go. Now I should be able to select the right folder. So temp A. All right, let's see if she's gonna play ball now. Load models. At least you don't sound like R2D2 anymore, which is nice.
Noise.
All right, loading models. Now I just gotta wait for it to start responding again. Yeah, that's one thing you'll find out about open source is that open source doesn't have the best UIs and best experience for the user. Like these are barely thrown together, barely functional UIs that you just gotta navigate and learn the little quirks of. All right, it says it's loading. Okay, so it's loading the face. Then that's just taking a while because I think by us streaming, we're eating up so much of the GPU that it's just struggling. Oh, there we go. Okay, loaded the video. Now I'm just waiting for it to load the face. So reload the faces. Wait, what? Image type, image object cannot load. Why? Self-detect image, defaces. Oh, shit. I know what's wrong with that. I'm gonna go into deepfake. Come on. CD deepfake. I should have just used Roop. It would have been easier. Actually, I still can't. Yeah, I'm just gonna use Roop. I mean, it won't be as good of a result, but it'll be close. That's so okay. I'm just gonna use Roop. Okay, so execution mode CUDA source. I gotta give it dtemp a auxxzillary.mp4. So it's a fully command line driven, this one. So I'm passing it in the recording that I just took inside of, let's see, the source. And then I got to do the target, which is the video that I'm trying to put you on. There we go. Copy that in there. I'm just putting this all in a batch file to make it easy. Like I said, this shit, they don't really make it that user friendly, but you could make your own UI for it too. That's the thing. Like scripting, you could just like add a couple lines to create a box with like a folder and just, push a couple buttons and it does it if you don't like playing in the command line. All right. So now I got to give it my face, which is deepfake faces, Barnacules.png. Barnacules.png. And then the output is going to be aux swapped Barnacules.mp4. And run facial enhancement, and let's see if that works. Copy and run. And hopefully I didn't type those folders in wrong, but I'll go check while it's running here. Deep fake faces, Barnacules. Oh, I messed up. I gotta change one thing. It's just Barnacules.png. I thought I created a subfolder. I didn't. There we go. And run. Let's see if the stream gets chunky. So now it's loading up TensorFlow, which is really big. It's loading up the model, which is really big. So I'll be curious to see how it handles this. And then I added a couple of extra, like you can add other arguments to it. Like, do you want an MP4 that's H.264 or H.265 encoding, depending on where you want to upload it to? You can say whether, what frame processor you want to use. Do you want to just do a face swap, or do you want to do face swap with enhancement where it like smooths it and does all the lighting to match and everything?
Yeah.
All right. So far, so good. She's chooching. So it just loaded up the Onyx interface. So, and TensorFlow is now loaded. TensorFlow is the thing that's doing all of the, it's extracting the images. So now what it does is it opens up the video file, the workflow here. If you want to know how the script works, it opens up the video file. It extracts each one of the images separately and puts them in a folder. So it's like 1.jpg, 2.jpg in the order. And then what it does is it runs the algorithm over each image and does the face swap on each image separately. So, and then once all of the face swaps are done on the images, then it uses FFmpeg to take them and re-encode them back into the video. And then it copies the audio from the original video to the new video. And that's basically the workflow that's going through. So right now it's extracting the images. So it looks like there was 1,002 images in your I'm a Little Teapot. So it's almost done extracting. And it gives you like 21.09 ITs per second. I don't really know what that metric is. Oh no, it crashed. Why did it crash? Damn it. It says, okay, no. Face Swapper was processing. It says global source path, frame root, global's reference, frame number, list index out of range. Ah, damn it. I'll do it offline. I'll do it when we're done streaming. I'll post it on Twitter for you. That's cool. Yeah, so that would have been cool to do a live demo, but yeah, it pushes your GPU to the absolute max. Like the mouse cursor will start stuttering and shit when you run some of this stuff. So my goal is to get the other, the old Bitcoin mining rig, the big rack mount server Puget built for me like way back in the day. I got to see how slow those their 1060s or whatever that are in there. But if I can get that thing working, I can put that in the garage and just let that thing 24/7 chew on training and deepfakes. And then all I have to do is queue them up on this computer and let them run over there. And then the result will just show up back on this computer. And that's what I want to set up over the next couple of days, because using my primary computer for all the deep learning stuff has been a nightmare, because every time I got to do some training or I got to do some processing, I got to go find something else to do or play on my laptop, because it completely wipes out the resources of the computer. So I don't even know why I thought that was going to be possible to do a live demo on that. But once I get another computer set up, I can absolutely do a live demo, and it's going to be kick-ass. You guys are going to be like, what in the hell? Everybody I've shown the results to are like, what? But just to give you an idea, this is the workflow to do what they're doing on that Twitch channel, the one where it's or Ask Jesus too. There's another one called Ask Jesus, which is just Jesus interacting with chat as a deepfake Jesus. The way that it works is right now I couldn't do that because my response time would be like an hour. Because I would have to go, well, not an hour, probably like 15 minutes, because I'd have to do all the processing on my own computer. The reason that they're getting the fast results is because they're paying for GPU compute time in the cloud. So the way that it works is they reserve a cloud computer, they install all these tools on there, and then they have a scripted process. I think they created a web interface or something to manage it. But what they do is in chat, they have a real person sitting there watching the stream. And then when you ask a question in chat that they want Jesus to answer, or they want Biden and Trump to go on about, they copy your question into ChatGPT. ChatGPT then fabricates a response in the style of the person, whether it be Jesus, Biden, or whatever. So it gives you back the text response, including the person who asked the question and everything. It puts it in there. Then that gets copied over. That automatically, that response now gets copied over into the voice cloning app to take the voice that was cloned from whichever character they're trying to do. Then it'll create a WAV file that contains the audio of the response. Then simultaneously in the cloud, they have the other tool running the deepfake algorithm, Roop, to swap the face to it picks a random image of just a debate. You know, they probably have separate folders for like intense debate, slow debate, calm, excited, whatever the temperature of the reply is, right? They grab that image, then they use the algorithm to take the WAV file, sync it to that video, but then the lips don't match up. So then they take the resulting video from that, they run it back through with the lip syncing program. The lip syncing program now lip syncs it to the new audio, and then they have a final MP4 image or video that has the new dialogue and the lip syncing to it. Then once they have that gets uploaded into a queue that then OBS Studio loads out of the queue as the two are going back and forth. And then what happens is whenever they're not processing a question in chat, they just randomly go back and forth based on a conversation on ChatGPT, where the bot is basically just taking an instance of ChatGPT as Biden and an instance of ChatGPT as Trump, and they're just going back and forth and randomly talking. Because if you've ever done that, it works really well. If you create a conversation, 2 conversations in ChatGPT, and you create an automated script and you kick off the conversation with like, hey, other conversation, how are you doing today? It'll say, I'm doing just fine. And then it'll respond, that's great that you're doing just fine. And then it'll have another question. Then they'll go, oh, hey, what? And then it'll come up with a question. They'll just go back and forth forever. And if they don't go back and forth, if they hit a point where the other one just responds like with a pleasantry, they'll sometimes get caught in this loop where it's like, oh, thank you. You have a good day. No, you have a good day. That's great. So what you do is you just put some checks in place to say that if it's a similar reply from more than 1 or 2 or whatever, break that cycle and start a brand new conversation. And by interjecting those questions from chat, they have a less chance of hitting the end of the conversation because it's resetting the conversation after that point every time. And so this entire thing requires enough processing power in the cloud from enough, you know, high VRAM, high GPU CUDA cores that it can render the video, do all those different tools, do all the swapping, and put it through that entire queue of work within like 4 to 5 minutes. And so each time they answer a question, they're probably spending 10 cents, 5 to 10 cents to create the video. And then when they're just talking back and forth normally, each time it's probably a little bit cheaper, probably like 5 to 8 cents if it's not answering a chat related question that requires a little more workload. And because they're buying so much processing power in bulk, it's probably even cheaper than that. But their bill to run that stream is probably somewhere in the order of $300 to $600 a day and just GPU compute to do that thing in real time 24/7.
Yeah.
So, but they're making like $800 or $900 a day last I checked. So it's a profitable venture. But I did ask the people that ran it, and they said that yes, at any given time, there's at least 2 people that are actively there monitoring it and, you know, picking the chat questions and everything like that. So there are humans involved. Don't think that it's completely autonomous and they're like randomly selecting people out of chat and responding to them. That's not part of the shtick. But what they are doing is taking your question out of the chat. It goes in a queue. And then if they click on your message in the queue, then that one gets sent to the AI and interjected into the question. So instead of, you know, if Biden and Trump are going back and forth in the 2 chat sessions, all they have is one chat session, look at the queue and see if anything's in it from somebody in chat. And if somebody's in it from chat, then it basically diverts to another conversation that's unrelated that as Trump respond to that question. Yeah. And then it comes back to the conversation and continues where it left off between the other 2 conversations. So it's just this nice, flawless working thing. And I'm sure they're refining the tools and everything. So all the guys have to do is they're just sitting there watching the live stream. And if they see something funny in chat, they just click it and it goes into the queue. And then 5 minutes later, they're responding. And they said that they do go through and curate the responses. So they said they do read every response that comes back to a question in chat, just in case somebody tries to goad it into doing something it's not supposed to. And if that happens, then they'll just stop it from ever putting another thing in the queue from that user. So like if you go in the chat and say, hey, Biden, like how big is your wiener or whatever like that, if that's on the banned list and they read that and say that that's inappropriate or would generate an inappropriate response, they could get the bot banned. Then what they do is they just block that user so they can never ask another question in chat. Like they don't ban them from the channel, but they won't respond to it anymore. But yeah, isn't that crazy? Like all that shit's public. Like it's just nobody. It took me 2 weeks on GitHub to figure out all the pieces to the puzzle. But I now know all the technologies, all the libraries that are involved, the neural networks. I've got all the models downloaded. It's somewhere in the order of 60 or 70 gigabytes of models to do everything, to do the voice cloning. To clone one voice was like 12 or 15 gigabytes, I think it was, for the model. And I'm not even done training it yet. It might get bigger. And to do the Roop thing or whatever, that only requires one image in the target video. So that requires almost nothing, but the model that's required, I think, is like 10 or 15 gigabytes that's behind it. That gets loaded by the program and used. But yeah, guys, take a shot at it. Go fart around on GitHub and pull this stuff. But I will tell you this, like there are people, the more attention that these things get on GitHub, and this is why I haven't been creating videos like showing people how to do this and shit. And I urge you not to either if you want the stuff to stick around. Is the second these low level projects that work really good start getting noticed, they panic and go offline. So go download the source so that you have it, because then once it goes down, at least you have a copy of the source locally, and you've got a copy that will always work as long as you don't upload it, as long as you don't modify the dependencies. So what I've been doing is my process that I'll recommend to you guys, since you guys have been so nice today, is every time you download a tool and you get it working, like you get the right Python dependencies, you get the right regular dependencies, you figure out what toolkits to install, create a text file in that folder that says exactly what you needed to get that thing working. And then take that entire thing and archive it in a Docker image or in like a Python, not a Python, Anaconda environment image. Like store it in some way that you can run it completely standalone. Or if you're super hardcore, just create an executable. Like create a Python executable where it just takes all the dependencies, all the packages, just puts it into an unusually large Docker. Docker works great.
Docker container.
So throw it in a Docker container.
I'm sure with enough effort you could find somebody who's already hosting a Docker container that you could either. I don't know exactly how Docker works, but I'm sure that there's some way that it's been done. Like
some of the projects have Jupyter packages that are online that you can run and use back-end resources and stuff, but they're far and few between for this stuff because it's so processing heavy. It would cost them so much.
Keep their shit to themselves.
They are. That's the big thing about this is like those who know, and those who don't, and they're trying to keep it that way. But it's all open source. It's all public. There's thousands of people working on a lot of these projects that are contributing and forking. And if you find one of these programs and it doesn't do what you want, you can just fork it and do what you want because it's all under GPL licensing. So like, for instance, if I wanted to, I'm not going to because I don't want to draw all the attention, but I could just go to GitHub and I could fork Roop to Roop NSFW or whatever and go remove the one line of code that does the NSFW check. And then I would have like Roop Unlimited, But then people would be like, well, why the hell did you do that? People could use this for bad, blah, 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 blah. Even though arguably every project on GitHub can be used for bad. Every piece of source code can be used for bad. That's an unfortunate truth with any piece of technology, right? It's how you use it. But yeah, you can go and download the code and modify it to your heart's content. If you redistribute it, though, you do have to give attribution. So if you do take somebody's project and you modify it and you just re-upload it as a brand new project, it will get taken down like in days. Like people are very territorial on GitHub. There was a couple of people that uploaded like some fairly modified versions of Roop that they weren't even up for 24 hours because the original author was like, nope, you can't just download my code and re-upload it, because he specifically froze the project so that it wouldn't get forked anymore because he's like, I want to leave it here. And people kept re-uploading it as their own. He's like, nope, because now people are going to keep coming after me thinking that I'm developing and maintaining this project when I'm not, because people keep replicating it. So he shut him down. And I think that's also why the Rope guy voluntarily took his project down, is because he was getting some heat from the other guy that he based his project on that used to be okay with what he was doing. But now there's a new project called Video Insight or Face Insight or something like that. I can't remember exactly what it's called. It's in the Patreon post. If you're one of my patrons, go sign up on Patreon. Yeah. If you're one of my patrons, you can see the post. I actually link to the new tool that isn't uploaded yet. That's actively in development, but they haven't started uploaded it to start the project where people can contribute. But it's a completely new tool that's way more intuitive with a way better UI and everything, that's coming to replace Rope, the tool that went away. And that tool is going to have, literally you can load a video, fast forward through the video, find a face in the video, load all the faces, all the images of faces you have in a folder, and you can literally just click face and a face in the video, face, a face in the video, face in the video, and it'll give them a number like 1 to 1, 2 to 2, 3 to 3, and match them up. And then you say run, you walk away, and when you come back, you have a video where every single face you selected is swapped with the face that's in that video. So you could literally take an audience of 100 people and swap 100 different faces over the audience of 100 different people if you wanted in a video clip. So it's pretty crazy, man. This technology is going to get off the hook. And if you have a video that like the person's looking for, like the video you made, other than the beard, that would be a really easy deep fake, because you don't turn your head and you never introduce anything that would create like a what do they call it? Uncanny valley, where like you turn, it looks weird, or it doesn't swap right, or it switches between my face and your face, where people are like, clearly, wait a second, something's wrong there. Oh, I think somebody came in clutch here at the end of the stream. Who was that? Joe Taji, thank you for the $10. Hey, Barnacules and Barnatron. Been lurking, enjoying the stream. I'm glad. So I'm curious in chat, before we wrap this up today, what do you guys, thank you for staying a little late. I'm sorry we were so far over. Do you guys enjoy the AI stuff, like with the neural networks and figuring out how like AI art works and how face swaps and voice cloning? Is this stuff that interests you guys that you'd like to know more about in the future?
Yeah, I think especially how you're using it is going to be great.
Yeah, I think what I'm going to do then, if people are really interested in this, is I might download, since I have all these tools now, I might start working on a fork that's basically all of these tools forked and merged together under one UI, where you can just have a workflow where it's like, you're just like, here's the face, here's the voice, here's all the vocal clips, here's the folder with everything in it. Just go do everything and I'll come back in a couple days and hopefully have an end result. If I can create something like that, then I'll probably make it available through Patreon or something like that. Because that's going to be a lot of work. That's going to be a lot of coding to make that. Let's see here. It's just like the Jesus stream I watched on Twitch a while back. Is it just like the Jesus stream? I don't think so.
I don't know.
Oh no, the Jesus stream. He's talking about the face swap Jesus. The Twitch Jesus. Although I don't think they have to do face swap for him. I think he's significantly easier to do because they're just using a rendered video of like a Jesus character. I don't think they're doing a face swap on that one. But if you guys, what I might start doing for my Twitch stream is I think I'm going to go find a bunch of videos of like Jesus from movies and stuff like that and put my face on it with mouth synced to words and use those as like jump cutscenes and stuff on my Twitch stream. And I may even bring them here to Tech Talk. Like if we can find nerdy clips from like, Office Space and stuff like that, like little small ones under 10 seconds that we want to trigger with events, we could do that, right? And just face swap us into the characters. Oh, that'd be funny. So yeah, I'll do that, because that'd be cool if we were both different characters and we could just do that and like just have that drop when somebody does something. That'd be neat. All right, guys. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed the stream this week. We will see you again next week. We both do our own thing over on Twitch. If you want to come watch us live stream over there during the week, I stream Monday, Wednesday, and Friday when I'm not sick after getting back from LTX. Just now getting back into it. And also we're on Twitter. Or X or whatever the hell they're calling it now.
It's still fucking Twitter, man.
It's still Twitter. It'll always be Twitter. As a matter of fact, on my phone, let's see. I don't know if I can show this on camera because there might be other stuff on screen. Yeah, I can't. My icon is the old Twitter icon that says Twitter fuck X on it. It's the name of my icon. And the way that I did that, and I'll tell you guys, just go create it. If you're on iOS, I don't know how to do it on Android, but if you're on iOS, create a shortcut using the shortcut tool on iOS and point it to X, the new tool. And then what you do is you say, create a new shortcut. You scroll down and say, okay, now create a shortcut on my homepage. And when it opens up that shortcut dialog, you say, use the old image. You just go download the old icon off of Bing or whatever. You put it in there and you can name it whatever you want. And now when you click that icon, the shortcut will open up X, just like you clicked on it. But now you've got your Twitter icon. And then you just take the X icon and drag it off into a page way over on the left where you don't have to look at it anymore. Or you right click it and say hide from desktop. And now you've got your Twitter icon back, and it works just like it always did. All right, guys. Well, thank you for the super chats. We appreciate Joe Taji. Thank you for the super chat. Camaro85. Thank you for that super chat. Me Puppet, Dave Webster, Johnny Rocket, Irene Smith. By the way, Irene, congratulations on getting the job. She finally got a job at Google. She's been sweating it for a while now, so it's awesome. She's back in the driver's seat. JFC Data. Thank you for the $20 Canadian. Johnny Rocket. Thank you so much for the super chat. Bubba to Matt. Thank you for that $5 super chat. You have yourself a wonderful weekend. Aubrey, thank you for the 350 czars. We love czars around here. Yeah. And Nico Puhar, thank you so much for contributing. You guys contributions help us out greatly, and we appreciate it. If you guys are more interested in the deep fake stuff, I did do a couple of write-ups and like little pseudo tutorials over on my Patreon. If you want to join, $1 a month, more if you're richer. None of the tiers give you anything extra, so like it's just the goodness of your heart if you want to do a higher tier, but it does help me out and I appreciate it. And yeah, I think I said everything. I think we're good. All right, guys, so peace out. Let's do a little wave. Let's do a little bye. Peace out. If I can find the button. Well, that's